A police chopper zeroes in on Hospital 13, ready for a major operation. While down below, the entire block is swarming with cops demanding a surrender. Inside, a low-rent kidnapper holds our boy in pajamas hostage, threatening anyone who moves. But the sniper on the roof has a terrible angle, only a 10% chance for a clean shot. Meanwhile, the hostage is critiquing the kidnapper's form, calling him an unprofessional amateur. So the kidnapper drags him into the helicopter's spotlight, completely exposed and annoyed. This hostage's confident smirk gives the game away, forcing the cops to switch to Plan B, and our guy starts giving his captor survival tips, which is not appreciated. Just then, the assault team breaches the door and smashes through the window simultaneously. Outside, the tactical unit is baffled by how the hostage somehow predicted their every move. This kidnapper, now totally cornered, peeks out the window in a full-blown panic, clutching something under his vest and wondering how they knew he had the package. Our boy, completely unbothered, just sits there and mocks the guy for being cornered, which makes the kidnapper finally threaten to just shoot his ridiculously calm hostage. This hostage just smirks, telling him he clearly has no idea what kind of place this is, leaving the criminal looking completely lost and confused by the sudden confidence, because the sign on the door literally says hospice, and our boy reveals he is a terminal patient with only 2 months left to live. This kidnapper's face just falls, realizing he picked the one hostage who has nothing to lose, so he asks what the threat is now, and the kidnapper just screams in pure frustration. Our boy just smirks, asking what kind of treasure the kidnapper's been hiding. And before the guy can even process it, bam, a pillow straight to the face. This world's worst kidnapper stumbles back, completely blinded by a freaking pillowcase, letting our pajama-clad patient flip him over like a total amateur. A clean punch to the jaw follows just to add a little insult to injury. And suddenly the hostage has the gun, his eyes glowing a menacing red. He twists the guy's arm back, making him absolutely shriek in pain. Then hoists him up for a full-on, bone-crunching body slam, followed by a swift kick to the ribs while he is down, because why not? This kidnapper, completely broken, asks if the whole dying thing was just a lie. But our guy confirms it is true, and that is exactly why he is not messing around. In fact, he is pissed this idiot wasted 7 minutes and 28 seconds of his remaining time. He pulls out the stolen package, asking if this little thing is worth all the trouble, which sends the kidnapper into a desperate panic, begging to get it back. Our boy just examines it with a grin, wondering if it could actually cure him. As he holds it, the object begins to glow, bathing him in digital light, and the kidnapper just screams in horror, knowing exactly what is about to happen. Golden energy erupts from the device as a system message pops into view. He then kicks the guy again, coldly stating he was a dead man walking anyway. Before demanding answers about this otherworldly account at gunpoint, our boy presses the gun to the guy's head, coldly informing him he is already dead. And just like that, the kidnapper's bravado shatters, screaming that he will spill everything. So he starts explaining how a meteor shower back in 2050 completely changed the world. This cataclysmic event apparently unleashed hordes of terrifying monsters onto the planet. After that, a select few gain the power to travel to other worlds for brutal trials. Passing these tests grants insane rewards, but it also drew the attention of hostile invaders. This kidnapper was one of these travelers, and it looks like his last run did not go so well. Turns out the key to this whole mess is an otherworldly account marked by a unique symbol. People with this mark are called traversers, and a timer starts counting down to their next trip. Back in the present, the cops finally breach the door with a non-lethal round. This tactical team floods in, screaming for everyone to freeze and release the hostage. But they stop dead in their tracks, completely stunned by the scene before them, because the kidnapper is the one tied to a chair, gagged and literally crying for help. A system message then pops up for our boy, Liu Yao, saying his trial starts in 1 minute. From the info he gently extracted, Liu Yao knows time passes differently in the other world. He also learned you cannot bring weapons, which is a real shame. That gun was useful. With the kidnapper getting hauled away, Liu Yao figures this buys him some time from his pursuers. This mark on his hand glows as the final 10-second countdown begins, and he is weirdly calm. He just smirks, thinking that with only months left to live, what is one more crazy risk? His eyes gleam as the system grants him access, and a new world awaits. This system boots up, scanning new arrivals to create their characters for the public login zone, and Liu Yao materializes in a bustling city square, surrounded by other so-called contestants. His identity locked in as the system officially registers him as Traveler Liu Yao. Now decked out in some fresh gear and learning, he can check his stats anytime. And his first impression of this grand otherworld is, shall we say, underwhelmed. So he pulls up his character card, ready to see what kind of legendary hero he has become, only to find out his stats are absolute garbage with a strength rating of paper. Ouch. Liu Yao dryly notes that paper level does not exactly scream badass protagonist, but his attention is grabbed by someone hawking a rare green quality poison sword. A nearby group of players scoffs, saying gear that good only drops in deadly high-risk trials. This shady hooded merchant insists it is legit, laying out his wares for all to see, giving a quick rundown of the trial tiers while explaining why high-level loot is so valuable. This guy then claims the sword is stolen goods from a top-ranked villain, a real bargain at 500 points. Immediately, a bidding war erupts as a few gullible meatheads try to outbuy each other. And the seller just smirks, absolutely thrilled that his little scam is working perfectly. Just then, a piercing alarm blares through the square, signaling a high-level threat. A system-wide alert warns everyone that an extremely dangerous person has just logged in. Suddenly, the Supreme Law Enforcement Department descends from the sky, a budget Superman and his goons. These heavily armored inquisitors are rated as strong class, so they clearly mean business. And their target is Lu Yao, who is now flagged as the #1 most wanted evil person here. Lu Yao realizes the super cops are not here for the scammer, they are looking right at him. This sends the shady merchant into a full-blown panic, grabbing his stuff and booking it. An inquisitor launches into the air like a rocket, ready to bring the hammer down on the fleeing merchant. Now the merchant is running alongside Lu Yao, asking what the hell he did to get this kind of attention. Lu Yao just tells him to shut up and run, as a system alert confirms he is public enemy #1. This penalty for his 6-star wanted level is total consciousness obliteration, so much for a safe game. His new running buddy points to a portal, saying it is their only escape into a trial instance, but one of the inquisitors is already powering up a massive, glowing sword strike to stop them. This attack comes screaming down just as Lu Yao dives headfirst into the portal's energy field. As he teleports, the system flags him for having an evil value that is completely off the charts. Lu Yao is just annoyed by all the pop-ups while trying not to get sliced in half. This inquisitor's attack slams into the ground behind them, leaving a massive crater of fire. Meanwhile, the merchant peeks out from his hiding spot, looking pretty pleased with himself. He finally realizes the death squad was never after him, which is a huge relief for him, less so for our boy. Inside the trial, Lu Yao gets a new notification. He has been matched into a fierce level trial for a purple chest. Oh, and there is a tiny detail. Dying here means he dies for real in a trial called Do Not Disturb If You Die. His mission is to survive a multiverse dating show by holding hands with a heartthrob. This is not a joke. This whole death in real life thing really gets Lu Yao's attention, his eyes glowing with intensity. He is then dropped onto a brightly lit stage as an announcer welcomes the newest contestant. And the host is a terrifying, glowing mannequin thing, kicking off the most messed up dating show ever. Lu Yao is already annoyed, wondering why his novice trial is a fierce level death trap, as a glowing host announces his dramatic entrance onto the multiverse's weirdest game show. But our boy just smirks, deciding to just roll with it and see what happens next. While the shadow figure crowd goes absolutely insane for some great teacher they are screaming about, and the host hypes him up, sponsored by the Single Dog Mutual Aid Association, a ringing endorsement. A slow grin spreads across his face as he finally realizes this whole thing is a blind date show, which makes him recall his past life as a heartthrob who set girls' hearts on fire, though his illness sadly prevented him from meeting all his supposed female fans at the hospital. This host then reveals his stats, and his strength is literally paper level. He breaks if you squeeze him, which makes the audience roar even louder, thrilled to watch a weakling get demolished. Standing on the massive stage, Lu Yao just asks the system for a quick explanation of these ranks. A pop-up confirms that paper is the absolute weakest tier, while fierce is boss-level combat power. So he is a level 1 scrub in a final boss dungeon with permadeath. What a great novice test. This host is just thrilled, promising the audience a beautiful and very ornamental death from Lu Yao, and this glowing mannequin seems genuinely shocked when Lu Yao calls him out directly. Lu Yao just wants to know where his date is, since winning her over is his only ticket out of here. This host gets flustered, claiming he is just a projection before quickly introducing the female guest. With a massive flourish, he announces the arrival of female guest #1 from a cloud of smoke. A woman in a sharp outfit and thigh-highs walks forward with a very confident stride, and his date, Miss Soft Red Lips, is a terrifying monster with a mouth that splits her face in half. Apparently, Miss Soft Red Lips is super into our boy, blowing him a little heart kiss. Lu Yao's face just screams nope, completely disgusted by his first potential date. This host then cheerfully explains she feeds on fear before eating her partners alive, which is a great quality. Taking a moment to process this absolute nightmare, Lu Yao just closes his eyes, before snapping them open and declaring her eyes are beautiful. What a charmer. Just as the host praises his taste, a massive spiky leg slams down to introduce the next contestant. And meet Miss Slender Legs, a giant spider demon lady descending from the ceiling to join the party. This new guest, a full-on demon queen with a scorpion tail, looks thoroughly unimpressed with him. But Lu Yao gives her a big thumbs up, calling her a fair lady without missing a beat. Thrilled by this progress, the host announces it is time for guest #3. Our boy is sweating bullets but tells himself he can endure this because dying humans are tough. Suddenly, a massive hand just smashes right through the digital screen for a grand entrance, and out steps Miss Busty Bum, a giant butcher lady with a skull necklace and a winning smile. She immediately lets out her signature war roar, which is just delightful. So Lu Yao, with the most polite smile ever, asks if this is really their definition of a female guest. This comment seems to have really hurt her feelings as her face twists in anger, and she starts bawling, making the host warn Lu Yao to stop with the gender labels or face elimination. He just facepalms, finally accepting that normal human aesthetics are not on the menu here. But the host promises the last guest is a legendary beauty, one of the 7 deadly sins, Miss Sloth. Intrigued, Lu Yao's eye glows as he calls for this final, supposedly beautiful contestant to appear. This glowing host checks his watch, clearly getting impatient while waiting for the final guest. And it turns out Miss Sloth is a no-show, deciding it is less effort to just watch from home. Undeterred, the host moves on, announcing an intimate outdoor date for Lu Yao and his monster harem, leaving our boy stuck between a face-splitting horror and a spider queen looking completely over it. Miss Busty Bum, however, seems absolutely thrilled by the prospect of a good time with him. A system menu even pops up, presenting the evil monster girl group like a dating sim from hell. Meanwhile, that shady merchant is on trial in some grand court, trying to play the innocent victim. And he is sucking up hard, swearing he had no idea who Lu Yao was and would have turned him in. This arbitrator confirms the merchant, Jin Dolly, is not actually connected to the top-ranked evil player. which makes Jindali breathe a huge sigh of relief, thinking he is totally off the hook now. But he is still found guilty of selling fake gear and gets slapped with a 200-point evil penalty. An inquisitor then drags him away as he screams that this has nothing to do with him. One of the guards asks the arbitrator if they should keep hunting for Lu Yao. But the judge just waves it off, saying there is no point since the guy's already in a fierce trial. Back in that trial, Lu Yao finds himself in a grim wasteland fittingly called Do Not Disturb If You Die. Elsewhere, Miss Busty Bum is taking out her frustration on a giant bear, still sobbing her eyes out. And she is absolutely livid, promising to make Lu Yao regret ever being born for his earlier comment. While crying, she complains that the game's favorability system is completely broken, a true gamer moment. A system prompt shows Lu Yao that two of the ladies are friendly, but Busty Bum is at disgust. Then her status immediately updates to killing intent, leaving Lu Yao to wonder what he did now. With her killing intent maxed out, Miss Busty Bum raises her massive axe over a totally unbothered Lu Yao. This blade comes screaming down towards his head, but our boy does not even flinch. And he calmly apologizes for hurting her feelings, completely ignoring the weapon about to split him in half. Incredibly, the axe freezes just inches from his skull. He literally talked it to a stop. Miss Busty Bum is completely thrown off, her rage turning to pure confusion over what he just said. Lu Yao just stands his ground, not moving a muscle while letting his words sink in. He then launches into a dramatic monologue about how her anger cut him deeper than any blade ever could. Our boy clutches his chest, lamenting that he failed to see the tender, watery heart beneath her tough exterior. The Riz is strong with this one. This completely short-circuits her brain as she stammers about tenderness, looking totally lost. Standing by a random tombstone, he praises her as a shy, generous, and sharp woman who caught his eye. She is still processing this, repeating shy, kind, as if she has never heard those words before in her life. A system prompt confirms his smooth talking worked. Her favorability just jumped to friendly. And with a few more compliments, it skyrockets to heartwarming as she literally clutches a heart to her chest. Lu Yao then picks a single flower, comparing her inner beauty to a bloom in this dark wasteland. He finishes with a smug smile, concluding that she is a truly special person and he has totally got this in the bag. Overwhelmed by the flattery, Miss Busty Bum just drops her giant axe to the ground with a thud. Lu Yao hears it and glances over, playing it cool like he did not just disarm a monster with poetry. Now she is a blushing mess, shyly calling him Brother Lu Yao with hearts in her eyes. A system alert confirms her affection has hit obsession, and he gets 500 points for unlocking a Yandir. Lu Yao starts sweating bullets, realizing his plan to survive might have just created a much bigger problem. Miss Busty Bum is completely overwhelmed, saying she has made up her mind about him. Her eyes start glowing with a terrifying intensity as this decision takes hold. Lu Yao's face drops, realizing with dawning horror what she is probably about to do. She then starts screaming at the other two monster girls to back off, much to our boy's shock. Floating in a pink love haze, she proudly announces to the entire wasteland that Lu Yao is hers. A system prompt confirms her gambit worked as the other two ladies' affection plummets to disgust. This completely ruins Lu Yao's plan since now he has zero chance of charming the others. With his name on her lips, Miss Busty Bum starts charging at him like a love-crazed freight train. She is going in for a hug, and Lu Yao knows if that lunatic gets her arms around him, he is just paced. But just before impact, a spider web shoots out and snags her by the ankle, yanking her right off her feet and sending her crashing face-first into the dirt with a thud. Dazed for a second, she looks up into a massive web, realizing who just interrupted her big moment. Now she is completely tangled up, struggling helplessly against the sticky trap. She immediately starts screaming, calling out the damn spider bitch for the attack. Miss Slenderlegs just looks down on her, mocking her for being a musclehead who cannot even keep a man. With a predatory smile, she declares she will be the one to properly train our boy. Still caught in the web, Busty Bum just screams that he is hers and no one else can touch him. This spider queen then turns to Lu Yao and asks if he'd be willing to bear her child, a totally normal question. Our boy realizes he is trapped, knowing a wrong answer here gets him killed on the spot. So he just smirks, flipping the script entirely by asking who the hell gave her permission to speak to him. Miss Slenderlegs is just completely short-circuited by his comeback, her brain buffering in real time. With a withering glare, Lu Yao calls her out, asking if her so-called love is just a contract to make babies. He lays into her, demanding to know if she has any real feelings, leaving the demon queen totally speechless. His verbal smackdown is so effective she immediately apologizes, and her affection meter flips to friendly. But then a second prompt appears for a certain lady, and Lu Yao realizes someone else is watching. On the big screen, the shadow crowd is losing their minds over this absolutely galaxy-brain strategy. Our glowing host is back on the mic, announcing Lu Yao's speech has somehow won the support of gender equality groups. Even this mannequin seems shocked, realizing our boy's words are hitting a little too close to home for the viewers. Then comes the bombshell. Miss Sloth, the legendary no-show, has actually messaged the program about him. Lu Yao tries to piece it together, wondering what this sudden interest from a deadly sin could possibly mean. Looking up, he sees Miss Soft red lips looming over him and realizes all three might be in on some trick. His eyes narrow with suspicion as he considers the possibility of a massive setup. Without warning, Miss Soft red lips lunges, her face splitting open as she tries to silence him permanently. She pulls back with a creepy smile, claiming she's just going to stay neutral in all this, and Lu Yao's response is to just slap her clean across the face, zero hesitation, maximum disrespect. This move leaves the other two monster girls completely stunned, their chibi forms just staring in disbelief. He then tells her he hates a lack of confidence, insisting her beauty is not for anyone else to judge. Miss Soft Red Lips is just frozen, touching her cheek as his bizarre compliment sinks in. Meanwhile, the host is having a full-on meltdown, completely baffled by how Lu Yao just weaponized a slap. He starts screaming at the director to run the replay, desperate to understand the master-level riz he just witnessed. This host is losing his mind over the replay, confirming Lu Yao just slapped a fierce-level being. He then gleefully predicts a spectacular death, since Miss Tender Lips is notoriously vain about her looks. But instead of rage, she is just a blushing mess, completely short-circuiting everyone's expectations. She is totally frozen in place, trying to process how this guy could possibly be so bold. Lu Yao, meanwhile, is stone cold, his heart rate flatlining with absolutely zero fear detected. Even her inner demon is confused, wondering why its heart is suddenly pounding like crazy. A system alert then pops up, his evil value has maxed out, unlocking a special source of ultimate evil skill. This new evil touch lets him bewitch evil beings, but also paints a permanent target on his back for the good guys. He immediately puts 2 and 2 together, realizing that Slap just put her completely under his spell. On the ground, Miss Tender Lips is a kneeling, blushing disaster, totally overwhelmed by this new feeling. Her eyes have literally turned into hearts as she calls him the most incredible man she has ever met. Then her face splits open into a nightmare maw as she screams about wanting to devour him. Romance is weird here. A system prompt confirms she has hit obsession, and she starts floating towards him, ready for their eternal union. Lu Yao's response is a hard no thanks, concluding that absolutely no one in this trial is sane. This sudden love confession leaves the other 2 monster girls completely blindsided and furious. Miss Busty Bum looks particularly enraged, seeing her man getting stolen right in front of her. She immediately jumps in to block the advance, screaming that brother Lu Yao is hers. From above, Miss Slender Legs just scoffs, letting them fight it out while claiming he will be hers eventually. Lu Yao, now wrapped in some Spider Queen tentacles, just smirks, suggesting the ladies might not get a say in this. In a shocking twist, Tender Lips and Busty Bum team up, telling the Spider Queen to back off their man. This monster girl battle royale kicks off as Tender Lips tells Busty Bum to keep her hands off their man. And from below, Lu Yao just watches, realizing 3 fierce-level monsters are literally fighting over him. He knows full well that whatever twisted love they have for him is definitely not the wholesome kind. His internal game logic confirms it. Choosing one girl means the other 2 will immediately turn on him, but letting them fight it out just leaves him facing a single, powered-up monster he cannot possibly beat. Trapped between the brawling ladies, Lu Yao sighs that he does not want to choose any of them. What a dilemma. He then strikes a pose, announcing that this violent mess is not his idea of a healthy relationship, which actually gets their attention, with Miss Tender Lips demanding to know what he is getting at. Even Miss Busty Bum stops fighting to ask what in the world he means by all this. Lu Yao just smirks, telling them that fighting to the death for him does absolutely nothing for his heart. Completely thrown, the ladies ask if he is just giving up on them entirely now. Our boy smoothly replies that he is just the type of person who prefers to take things slow. He then proposes a solution to the deadlock. They will each get a one-on-one date with him. Pointing to Busty Bum, he promises to choose his ideal partner after they have all had their turn. His strategy is simple. Do not reject anyone, just make enough promises to keep their hopes up. Taking Tender Lips' hand, he internally accepts that this whole plan could still get him killed. But he tells her he will gladly accept his fate, laying the charm on thick as hell. Her heart starts pounding like a drum, completely flustered by his bold acceptance. With a determined look, she promises that she will be the one to prove her worth to him, which apparently means being the best person to kill him. Romance is just a different language here. Meanwhile, a random flesh goblin pops up in the graveyard with 50 minutes left on the program clock. And it immediately locks onto Lu Yao, its eye glowing with some serious hostile intent. Our boy, completely unbothered, just gives the thing a casual backhand to the dome. This little monster gets absolutely furious, screaming that a weak human is courting death. With a roar, it lunges forward, its mouth glowing green and ready to take a bite out of him. But instead of attacking, it just grabs his arm and starts simping for Miss Tender Lips. What a fanboy. Sedyandir immediately appears, her eyes glowing red as she demands to know why it is touching her property. This poor ghoul starts sweating bullets, trying to explain itself to the fierce-level monster about to erase it. She is not interested in excuses and just jams her finger straight into its eyeball. That sends the little guy flying, spitting out its own teeth as it crashes to the ground. Miss Tender Lips then calmly offers the freshly plucked eyeball to Lu Yao as a romantic gesture. A system prompt confirms he has acquired a ghoul's eye, a precious blue quality material. Hey, free loot is free loot. Lu Yao accepts the eyeball and immediately asks when they are getting married because his game has no breaks. He then pulls her close, telling her to look at him because he has something very important to say. His eyes start glowing as he activates a new skill, words of suggestion, to mess with her head. She confesses his intense gaze makes her unsure of how to kill him later, which is her version of a compliment. Our boy just analyzes this, correctly identifying her murderous impulse as a strong instinctive desire. He then lays it on thick, saying he'd love to die by her hand, but the evil TV show will not allow it. This completely confuses her, and she asks him what he could possibly mean by that. Lu Yao spins a tale about how the show is using her for hype and trying to deny her true happiness, and he is her only hope. His words of suggestion skill lands perfectly, and she totally buys his story. Putting on an Oscar-worthy performance, Lu Yao pretends to be terrified of some unseen monster. This newly brainwashed girlfriend immediately leaps off to defend her man's honor. With 28 minutes left, our boy decides it is time to find the next lady on his list. Out in the spooky graveyard, a hulking, shadowy beast with glowing eyes emerges, which then splits open to reveal Miss Tender Lips because of course it does. Still under the spell, she is just fantasizing about the best way to eat him later, so romantic. But then a system prompt announces the bewitched state has ended, snapping her out of it. She is totally confused and her affection immediately plummets straight to killing intent. Lu Yao, ever the cool customer, just notes that his mind control has worn off. Finding Miss Slender Legs, he casually places a hand on her, asking what is wrong. She is immediately suspicious, asking if he just drugged her because she felt a weird flicker of affection. Our boy just plays it off, saying he was thinking about her earlier proposal. Wrapping him in her spider legs, she warns him that picking the other two is a death sentence. Her offer is way more reasonable, though, just be her personal baby factory for all eternity. She gives him an ultimatum, but Lu Yao calmly agrees her logic is sound before making a counter. Intrigued by his gall, the Spider Queen asks him to speak his mind. He lays down his one condition: if he is gonna be her baby daddy, she has to guarantee his safety. Without a second thought, she agrees, calling it her responsibility to protect him. Lu Yao then spins another tale, claiming the evil TV show is the real enemy trying to keep them apart. Lu Yao activates his words of suggestion, trying to turn the Spider Queen against the TV show. This skill triggers, but from afar, Miss Tender Lips snaps out of her trance, screaming his name in fury. Miss Slender Legs sees the enraged Yandir charging over and immediately blames herself for the mess. Our boy just facepalms, realizing that rejecting a homicidal monster girl usually ends with her coming to kill you. And right on cue, Miss Tender Lips dives in from above, her eyes glowing with pure, unadulterated rage. But she is suddenly smacked out of the sky by an unseen force, getting absolutely clotheslined mid-lunge. Hitting the ground hard, she recovers in a feral crouch, looking more beast than woman at this point. She glares up, her fury now focused entirely on the Spider Queen who just interrupted her revenge. With eyes burning red, her killing intent is so palpable it is practically steaming off her. Miss Slender Legs stands protectively over Lu Yao, telling the other monster to scram and leave her property alone. Wrapped in spider legs, Lu Yao just sighs, telling Tender Lips not to worry about him anymore. What a troll. This sends Tender Lips into a meltdown, screaming about how the Spider Queen ruined her plans. Whipping out her giant scissor blades, she is ready to turn this love triangle into a bloodbath. She unleashes a storm of projectiles, kicking off a full-scale battle between the two fierce-level monsters. This two of them become a blur of motion, dodging and weaving with deadly grace. Their clash creates a massive explosion of energy as two titans go head-to-head over one guy. In silhouette, the two monster girls are locked in a brutal, desperate struggle for dominance. Miss Slender Legs gets a small cut on her cheek, looking genuinely surprised by her opponent's ferocity. She cannot believe Tender Lips is actually going this hard just for a human baby factory. Even after losing an arm, Tender Lips stands her ground, demanding they hand over Lu Yao. Talk about commitment. Tender Lips and the Spider Queen are locked in a death stare, both absolutely ready to throw down. These two fierce-level monsters then collide in a massive explosion with only 5 minutes left on the clock. Watching from the sidelines, Lu Yao just sighs about being a disastrous beauty. The ego on this guy is bulletproof. But then a familiar voice calls out his name from the shadows. Lu Yao turns to find the third member of his homicidal fan club has finally arrived. Miss Busty Bum towers over him, looking absolutely furious that he was with the other two girls. With her weapon at the ready, she demands to know if all his sweet promises were just a lie. Before our boy can even finish his denial, he is interrupted by a world of pain, and gets his arm completely blown off in a single brutal strike. He hits the dirt with only 10% HP left, his whole plan falling apart spectacularly. Her giant blade slams down right next to his head, pinning him in place. She then starts a monologue, saying he reminds her of someone from her past. We get her villain origin story. She was once just a lonely butcher, ignored by everyone. Then a smooth-talking guy came along and showered her with compliments, making her feel seen for the first time. He immediately used that trust to get her to smuggle some contraband for him, because of course he did. Predictably, the deal goes south and she ends up running for her life from an angry mob. Hiding in an alley, she overhears the man she trusted callously mocking her. Turns out he was just bragging to his friends about how he used the ugly freak to get rich. This guy smugly explains she's just a useful tool you can control with a few empty praises, and that is when she snapped, with a blood-soaked cleaver telling the rest of the story. She finishes her story, explaining his compliments are just like the last guy's right before she diced him. Then she asks if he'd like the same special treatment, a truly romantic and not at all terrifying offer. Bleeding out, Lu Yao just smirks and activates Extreme Touch of Evil with his one good hand. This skill immediately zaps her and she is completely stunned by whatever he just did. With his eyes glowing, he unleashes words of suggestion for the third time. This better work. He kicks off his manipulation by asking the butcher if she even remembers her own name. This question completely throws her, forcing her to confront the person she was before the monster. Lu Yao then launches into his signature speech about how the TV show is the real enemy using her. His eyes burn with power as he gives her a simple one-word command: kill. Pointing to the sky, he directs all her rage at the unseen producers who ruined her life for entertainment. And just like that, she is completely brainwashed, roaring as she turns on her new targets. From the sidelines, the other two monster girls watch in absolute shock as their fight gets a new challenger. Miss Busty Bum immediately lunges at them, screaming for everyone to die. Mission accomplished for our boy. With only 30 seconds left, Lu Yao watches another Yander charge off to do his dirty work. This clock hits 10 seconds as a prompt confirms he is at 5% HP and bleeding out fast. While dying, he casually loots a severed spider leg from the ground. Priorities, you know. Right next to that, he picks up Miss Tender Lips' dismembered arm for another free item drop. To complete his morbid shopping trip, he grabs the giant scissor weapon, scoring some purple tier gear. His three brawling monster girls actually stop fighting, totally bewildered by him looting their body parts. Clutching his stump, Lu Yao just stands there and wishes everyone a good game. What an absolute legend. With 0 HP, a system prompt declares the mission a success as someone's affection hits heartthrob. Dying was the plan all along. We then cut to a stage show, where a sad-looking contestant called Miss Ample Assets has just killed her 13th opponent. A flashback reveals the man from the butcher's story whispering poison in her ear, asking if she has ever lived for herself. Back in the studio, a glowing host is freaking out because all three monster girls let Lu Yao escape and the crowd wants blood. He then lectures the trio on a giant screen, warning them this failure will go on their permanent record. HR is everywhere, apparently. Miss Busty Bum responds to this corporate threat by shattering her chains and smashing the stage right in front of him. She towers over the terrified host, looking ready to give him a very hands-on performance review. Suddenly, the other two girls appear, flanking the host as they tell him his show is about to be permanently cancelled. This audience absolutely loves this, chanting for a fight while the host sweats, thinking this chaos is actually good TV. Trying to regain control, he threatens them with being single forever if they defy the program, a truly devastating blow. Unimpressed, the butcher just calls everyone noisy, her giant cleaver making a much more compelling argument. This is when the crowd's cheers turn to silent horror as they realize the monster girls have gone completely off script. This host stammers in fear as a new, powerful presence suddenly appears right behind him on the stage. A pink-haired demon lady arrives, casually introducing herself as Master Sloth and chiding them for not giving her a heads-up. She then gives a simple ultimatum, everyone out in 10 seconds because she really hates crowds. Our little glowing host can only stare in confusion, his brain completely short-circuiting from the new management. Master Sloth is not joking either, immediately starting a calm, terrifying countdown from 10. That is the cue for the entire audience to panic, stampeding for the exits and screaming for their lives. In seconds, the massive arena is completely empty, leaving just the 5 of them in the spotlight. Master Sloth then turns to the 3 rebellious monster girls, asking if they have a problem they'd like to discuss with her. Master Sloth demands Lu Yao's file, but the host scoffs that he is just a low-rank nobody. That earns him a death glare that could curdle milk she was not asking. Immediately, the little glowing man is on his knees, handing over the data like his life depends on it. After a quick look at the file, she seems genuinely impressed with our boy's performance. She then tells the monster girls to just ignore her and get back to their regularly scheduled rebellion. With a puff of smoke, the new boss just up and vanishes from the stage entirely. From the side, a creepy ghost girl notes that the big shot is actually interested in Lu Yao. Meanwhile, the butcher queen brings her giant cleaver down, narrowly missing the host's head. He absolutely panics, screaming at her for daring to defy the TV show's sacred authority. Unfazed, she just roars that absolutely no one is going to stop her rampage today. We then cut to the extreme evil city, where some other poor soul is having a very bad day. This new blonde guy is whining about being exiled here all because of some other dude. A local monster gets right in his face, offering to solve his mumbling problem by eating him. And yeah, this long-tongued monster is exactly as charming as it sounds. This blonde dude immediately starts scrubbing a wall, insisting it was all a big misunderstanding. He internally monologues about how this city is full of monsters who see humans as snacks. Hiding away, he just wishes he could be a high-level player like the pros. He looks at a leaderboard, noting that even the best guilds can only clear strong-level trials. But then the list updates with a new clear, till death do us part at the fierce level. This guy's jaw hits the floor, completely stunned that someone actually beat a fierce trial. Back from the dead, Lu Yao gets a perfect score on the mission, complete with a purple chest and a nice level up. This system also throws him some bonus points and the choice to go home, but he picks Explore freely instead. He is instantly healed, flexing his previously non-existent arm. Death is just a minor inconvenience, apparently. Arriving at the extreme evil city, our boy immediately dives into his inventory to open that shiny new chest. His prize is a skill called Descent of the Demon, which drops your HP to 1 for a power boost. What could possibly go wrong? Lu Yao correctly identifies this as a high-risk, high-reward skill, the kind that gets protagonists killed in Chapter 2. But he learns it anyway because who needs a backup plan when you have a Become a Demon button? Next up, he checks out the other goodies he looted mid-death. It is Miss Tender Lip Scissor Blade, a purple-tier weapon that literally drains your HP just by holding it. Lu Yao's reaction is pure excitement. This thing is absolutely savage and he loves it. He then checks his stats, which are hilariously pathetic, with a power rating of beginner. So naturally, he equips the life-draining superweapon, immediately getting a menacing dark aura. A prompt confirms the ferocious corruption is already ticking his health down. The weapon is working as advertised. But one look at his stats shows his power rating has skyrocketed to strong, a pretty decent trade-off. Realizing he will need a pharmacy's worth of potions, he calls out to a local to ask for directions. And the first resident he meets is a long-tongued ghoul who immediately calls him a new toy. Lu Yao just flexes the weapon's aura, and the monster immediately recognizes the sheer ferocity. This aura erupts into a storm of screaming souls as our boy casually asks the ghoul if there is a problem. This monster completely panics, apologizing for ever existing and promising to leave right now. With a final terrified scramble, the ghoul flees, leaving Lu Yao to rule the street with his new cursed scissors. Lu Yao figures the screaming soul aura might be a problem, deciding to stash the cursed weapon for now. Just then, the blonde wall scrubber from before pops up, asking to team up with a fellow evil player. Our boy recognizes him instantly as the gear-selling dude he scammed earlier. What a coincidence. And the recognition is mutual as the blonde guy drops his bucket in pure, unadulterated shock. He immediately starts screaming at Lu Yao, blaming him for getting exiled to this monster-infested city. Lu Yao just plays innocent, claiming he is a total newbie who does not know anything, the classic "who me" defense. This blonde dude is not buying it, asking how a rookie could possibly trigger the highest security alert in the safe zone. With a shrug, Lu Yao keeps up the act, saying he just finished his first trial and needs a guide. This guy sighs, calling him unlucky, but reluctantly agrees to give him the rundown on how this world works. So begins the tutorial, explaining the world is split into safe zones and 4 tiers of danger. He describes the safe zones as places where you cannot die and can trade freely, your standard starting town. Then there are paper zones, the kiddie pool of monster hunting where death is just a minor inconvenience. Average zones get spicier with better loot, but dying means losing all your gear, a classic rage quit scenario. After that, strong zones are for the pros, where dying resets your level and items, basically deleting your character. He finishes with a very serious warning to never, ever bite off more than you can chew. A quick montage of horrifying monsters from these trials drives the point home: this place is not a joke. Lu Yao, having just aced the hardest difficulty, then casually asks what the fierce areas are like. This question completely spooks the guy, who explains fierce is an uncleared death zone with no system protection. It is a place with mythical loot, but dying there means you die for real and you cannot even get in normally. He then connects the dots to the leaderboard, wondering if that lunatic who cleared fierce is standing right in front of him. Lu Yao just smirks at the guy's meltdown, finding this whole situation interesting. Still panicking, the blonde dude explains this entire city is a high-level, strong zone. He stresses that dying here is a very, very permanent problem for players like them. This only way out is to lower your evil points, and he assumes Lu Yao has barely any. With a psycho grin, our boy pulls up his own score, which is literally infinity, a truly interesting number. A quick tour of Extreme Evil City reveals it is a place where being a ruthless monster gets you respect. His new guide explains that as human exiles, they are at the very bottom of the food chain. Right on cue, a mummy monster tries to invite some poor soul into his shop. This guy's refusal is met with a giant claw straight through the chest, so much for window shopping. After ripping him in half, the mummy insists he still needs to come in and buy something. This blonde guy gives Lu Yao a final serious warning to lay low and not attract any attention. But when he turns around to continue, our boy has already vanished into thin air. Lu Yao, ignoring every piece of advice, has found exactly what he was looking for: a supermarket. From the sidelines, his guide is having a full-blown panic attack, thinking the kid is insane. He desperately tries to warn him that walking up to a monster den is a death sentence. But Lu Yao just strolls right in, leaving the blonde guy to call this next level suicidal. Inside the dark shop, our boy looks around, completely unbothered by the creepy ambience. A goblin-like shopkeeper greets him, his friendly tone vanishing the second he spots a human. Without missing a beat, Lu Yao just asks to buy some healing potions for his cursed weapon. This goblin flashes a predatory smile, offering a special price of 500 points a pop. What a bargain. Lu Yao points out the potions are clearly labeled as 50 points each, not 500. Our boy calls him out on the ridiculous markup since the price tag is right there. With a greasy smile, the goblin explains his special policy: humans pay 10 times the price. He then smugly informs Lu Yao that now that he is inside, it is too late to just walk away. But Lu Yao just gives him a terrifying grin, asking whoever said he was planning to leave. This shopkeeper's brain stalls for a second, completely baffled by this human's lack of fear. Before he can finish, Lu Yao shoves the cursed scissor blade right through his chest. That is when the goblin finally recognizes the weapon's ferocity aura, a little too late. His body gets sliced clean in two, the top half just floating there in pure denial. Unbothered, Lu Yao takes a calm step forward to continue this negotiation. Behind him, the weapon's full power erupts into a giant, screaming purple skull. This now reassembled goblin scrambles into a corner, begging him to stay away. In a last-ditch effort, he tries pulling the I know the manager card, threatening him with the city lord. Lu Yao just turns that right back on him, asking if the city lord approved his little price-gouging scam. And the goblin is completely speechless, checkmated by a simple, logical question. As the blades press closer to his throat, all he can do is scream his lungs out. With a smug look, Lu Yao proposes a new, much better deal, a 90% store-wide discount. Through tears of pure terror, the shopkeeper agrees that yes, 90% off sounds absolutely fantastic. After his successful shopping spree, Lu Yao strolls out in a cool new cloak. Mission accomplished. Our boy just smirks, telling himself it was all just self-defense, a perfectly reasonable transaction. He checks his inventory, having scored 40 potions for just 200 points, a 5-finger discount if I have ever seen one. Lu Yao also snagged a slick new cloak that hides his evil aura, a steal at 90% off. With a grin, our boy decides he is really starting to like this lawless hellscape. We then cut to the real world under a quiet, starry night sky. Inside a convenience store, a seriously jacked bald guy is doing some late-night shopping. He pauses for a moment, contemplating the most important of choices, which chocolate bar to buy. As his hand reaches out for his prize, a decision has clearly been made. A glowing symbol flares on his hand, marking him as another player in this game. While walking home, a system message pops up with some interesting news for him. He mentally replies that he is done with the elders and just wants to be with his daughter. But the system interrupts, informing him that someone just cleared a fierce level trial. This guy Meng Xiaohua is a pro who cleared a strong trial himself, and now he knows about Lu Yao. Back in the city, the blonde guide is having a full-blown meltdown in an alleyway. He then spots Lu Yao's new gear, grabbing the cloak and freaking out over its 8,000-point value. Our boy just smiles, claiming the shopkeeper was a nice guy who gave him a generous discount. This answer completely short-circuits the blonde dude's brain, a discount from that guy. He starts ranting about how that goblin is a legendary scammer who once charged him 500 points for one potion. Then it clicks, he decides Lu Yao must be a rich whale and his ticket to Easy Street. Immediately, he is all smiles and wagging his tail, asking if boss needs a loyal sidekick. Lu Yao just smirks, shutting him down completely. He is not looking for followers. Jindali gets a sly look, claiming he is not the type to just be a follower. Instead, he suggests they skip all that and just become father and son. Zero shame in this man's game. This dude literally gets on his knees, fully committed to this new family dynamic. Lu Yao admits his shamelessness is truly next level, which the guy takes as a huge compliment. With a charming smile, Jindali asks to be added as friends, showing off his player mark. They do the magic handshake, and a system prompt makes their new friendship official. After getting Lu Yao's name, Jindali promises to be on call before logging out for the day. He then derezes into a cloud of pixels, leaving our boy standing there. Lu Yao examines the glowing mark on his own hand, wondering about this whole system. But a system alert cuts him off, announcing his time in the other world is up. With a flash of digital energy, he is pulled back to the real-world cityscape. Our boy reappears on a rooftop in his pajamas with a 24-hour timer already ticking for the next trial. He checks his phone, realizing 2 hours in the game was only 12 minutes here, a pretty sweet time ratio. To test things out, he pulls out one of the health potions he acquired from the shop, and he is genuinely surprised that he can actually bring game items back to reality. So naturally, he just chugs the whole thing right there on the spot. After finishing it, he casually tosses the empty bottle off the building, only for it to disintegrate into light particles, so game items have an expiration date. Still in his sleepwear, Lu Yao notices some noise coming from the orphanage across the street. He turns his attention from the orphanage to the massive hospital building nearby. Back in the real world, Jindali visits an orphanage where the kids call him Big Bro Lay. With a huge grin, he tells them he is not rich yet but has a promising new lid. One of the little ones just looks up at him, innocently asking what he means. So Jindali proudly announces he has found himself a new dad who is totally loaded. He means Lu Yao. This other kids are unimpressed, remembering his last sugar mom scheme that cost him money. He gets all defensive, insisting he needs these big backers to provide for all of them. But then a thought strikes him. His new benefactor looks strangely familiar. Meanwhile, Lu Yao is taking a late-night stroll around the hospital in his pajamas. Two nurses spot him for skipping his checkup, but he casually says his illness is incurable anyway. He coolly dismisses them, saying he will head back to his ward on his own. Watching him leave, the nurses lament how a guy with such a positive vibe could have such a strange illness. Turns out he is in the palliative care unit, hoping those game potions might actually do something. As he opens his door, he mutters that his hallucinations are starting to feel way too real. He peeks into his room, ready for whatever his mind has decided to throw at him today, and there is a white-haired woman lounging on his bed, casually welcoming him home. This image flashes and blurs, hinting that this vision is not exactly stable. Lu Yao just stares back with a deadpan expression. Apparently this is a regular occurrence. His hallucination is now a demon girl playing a handheld game because why not? He simply closes the door, calmly concluding his symptoms are just getting worse. Alone in his room, Lu Yao places his hands on a drawer, his face set with determination. He pops some pills, trying to keep his very, very weird illness in check. Lu Yao then turns to his bed, calling the demon girl lounging there his most absurd hallucination yet. He even roasts her gaming skills, pointing out she cannot even clear the first stage. And the game over screen proves him right, she is absolutely terrible at this. Our horned hallucination is clearly not taking the criticism well. Lu Yao just facepalms, completely done with this level of second-hand embarrassment. With a dark look, he gives her exactly 1 minute to disappear from his sight. But she just shoves the game console in his face, basically telling him to put up or shut up. This demon girl then stands up, challenging him to try it himself if he is so good. She leans in close, taunting him by asking if she feels real to him. Lu Yao is stunned to find he can actually touch her, wondering what stage of his illness this is. Meanwhile, she is wondering how the source of extreme evil could be such a perverted idiot. Our boy just gets a psycho grin, noting her horns feel real enough to saw off. At that exact moment, the lights in the hospital begin to flicker and die. This entire hallway is suddenly plunged into an eerie, unsettling darkness. Nearby, two nurses are completely baffled by the sudden power outage. Lu Yao gets into a fighting stance, threatening to take her out if she does not act normal. In response, she floats into the air with a weaponized pillow, ready for a demonic slumber party beatdown. But Lu Yao immediately drops to his knees, begging her to spare his precious game console. With a sly grin, he asks if he can at least get a chance to clear the stage in one life. A loud bang echoes as the door slams shut, cutting off the outside world. Immediately, a nurse is knocking, checking to see if he is okay after the power outage. Lu Yao just yells that he is naked, an excuse she somehow buys without a second thought. Back in the room, the game console flashes a victory screen. He actually beat the stage for her. His horned hallucination smugly explains this is her human world form, casually threatening the game's dev. Lu Yao just roasts her design, saying at least it is an upgrade from her laughable look in Elden Ring. He then lectures her on horror tropes, pointing out that people expect monsters, not waifus. With a calm smile, our boy addresses her as Miss Sloth, apparently his fourth uninvited guest. She is impressed by his nerve, revealing he is the first in years to survive awakening the source of extreme evil. This news finally cracks his composure as he asks what happened to everyone else before him. Sloth just yawns, explaining his evil value threw him into a solo death trap trial he was not supposed to clear. She then gives him a simple warning before opening a portal: do not go into trials alone unless he is ready. Lu Yao scrambles for answers, desperately asking if this is all connected to his terminal illness. Waving him off, she says she is a special case and cannot stay long because of other powerful beings nearby. Her parting advice is basically get stronger and try not to die if he wants to learn more. With a wry grin, Lu Yao accepts that he is pretty much stuck on this insane ride now. He then notices she left her game console behind, wondering if it was a deliberate gift. A system pop-up reveals it is a one-time summon item, also roasting her for being a terrible gamer. Suddenly, a new prompt appears looking like an employee handbook for the Yellow Springs Express. His next trial is confirmed, a strong-level multiplayer match where death means a total character reset. This system helpfully puts Lu Yao in anonymous mode for his first multiplayer rodeo. His mission is simple: grab an employee handbook and get to the plaza before a bell rings. And there is the book itself, the Yellow Springs Express Employee Handbook, which sounds like a thrilling read. Lu Yao pushes open the doors to the lobby, immediately realizing this is going to be a packed house. This waiting room is absolutely swarming with other players, all looking geared up and ready for a fight. A whole bunch of tough-looking dudes are sizing each other up, just a real festival of testosterone in here. With a heavy thud, the doors slam shut behind him. Guess there's no backing out now. Our boy tries to navigate the crowd, politely asking these beefcakes to make a little room. Nearby, a couple of low-level players are already panicking, hoping a pro will carry them through this mess. Suddenly, a new challenger makes a grand entrance by kicking the door open and yelling at the rookies. This guy, Jiang Kun, is a level 10 player with a fancy title and an outfit that just screams, "Look at me." This panicking newbies immediately change their tune, thinking this pro from the Azure Dragon Guild is their ticket to survival. Putting on some truly absurd sunglasses, Jiang Kun boasts that he will carry everyone to victory. Instantly, the whole crowd is kissing his boots, and he is soaking up every single second of it. His shades are so sharp they could probably be used as a weapon, a true fashion statement. This self-proclaimed boss then points a finger right at our boy, singling him out from the crowd. Lu Yao just gives him a deadpan look, completely unfazed by all the drama. Getting right in his face, Jiang Kun aggressively demands to know what is up with his level. He asks how a level 3 scrub got into a strong-level dungeon, and Lu Yao just shrugs. Unlucky. Jiang Kun dismisses him with a wave, telling him to stay out of the way and watch how a real pro works. Total tool. Lu Yao smirks, thinking this dungeon run is going to be a total cakewalk. And then a gunshot instantly domes the self-proclaimed pro, Jiang Kun, right in the face. His brand new fanboys are absolutely stunned, their jaws practically on the floor. A system prompt confirms the kill, leaving our loudmouth savior very, very dead on the ground. Turns out the welcome wagon for the Yellow Springs Express comes with a free revolver. And it is wielded by a dapper-looking manager who is just enforcing the company's tardiness policy. Standing atop a grand staircase, he gives a big theatrical welcome to his new employees. This other players are losing their minds, completely unable to process a titled pro getting one tapped. This manager calmly suggests they read the handbook, which clearly states employees cannot defy him. Lu Yao quickly deduces the terrifying truth: the manager has a one-hit kill ability in this trial. Inside the handbook are 3 delivery orders, some easy blue ones and some challenging red ones. This manager lays out the simple task: complete 3 deliveries and you get to live. A system alert officially kicks off the main quest: survive the Yellow Springs Express station. Some overconfident player immediately rips out a red order, figuring a little challenge is no big deal. His mission details pop up: deliver a slap to a strong-level Shadow Demon Wolf, a total suicide run. Realizing he has been played, the guy instantly tries to quit the mission, screaming it is a trap. But it is too late, as a system message announces his death before he can even finish his sentence. This manager casually points out another rule from the handbook: no abandoning tasks. With a sinister grin, he tells the remaining players to let that little lesson sink in. He then adds that his patience for rule breakers is, shall we say, extremely limited. This manager gives his final, friendly warning: play by the rules and you just might live. Immediately, the other players start panicking, realizing the red orders are just death sentences. But then one of the guys spots a blue order that does not look *2 impossible. Some dude in a truly questionable gladiator getup grabs a beginner mission to deliver dinner. He clutches his little box of doom, looking way too serious about this food delivery. With a confident farewell, he marches off, leaving everyone else to fend for themselves. A couple of the tough guys just watch him go, clearly not impressed by his enthusiasm. Seeing him bolt, the rest of the crowd realizes they need to get a move on and fast. Our boy Lu Yao, however, has already spotted a massive loophole in the rules. This handbook says you cannot abandon your task, which means stealing someone else's is fair game. And right on cue, a guy who looks like a knockoff Chun-Li demands to see Lu Yao's handbook. Lu Yao is not even surprised, dryly calling it the classic "let us bully the newbie" special. His new friends offer a trade, their suicide mission for whatever he has since he is disposable. With a dangerous glint in his eye, Lu Yao seems surprisingly open to their terrible deal. Turns out he'd asked Sloth if his extreme evil status lets him mess with weaker players. She'd explained that no, it just makes trials harder for everyone and attracts disaster right to him. Even back then, his reaction to this terrible news was just a deadpan, pretty ruthless. So knowing exactly what is about to happen, Lu Yao happily agrees to the trade. This bullies are stunned to see they have been handed a red order, blaming it on his bad luck. But as Lu Yao flips open the book they gave him, he announces the fun is not over yet. This bullies are stunned to see a second red order, thinking this guy is absolutely doomed. But Lu Yao just gives them a killer smile, holding their old book and saying he does not mind one bit. Then the awful truth hits them. His original handbook had 3 red orders, an impossible draw. He strolls right up to the terrified trio, coolly asking who was it that wanted to trade with him. Suddenly, they are all backing away, with the Chunlai knockoff telling him to keep his cursed luck to himself. This entire crowd parts like the Red Sea, treating him like a walking disaster zone. Mom's orders. Our boy just smirks at being avoided, totally unfazed by his newfound pariah status. At the top of the stairs, the manager slowly cocks his revolver, ready for some housekeeping. He remarks it is a first seeing 3 red orders, calling it a shame they went to such a weak player. Lu Yao walks right up to the boss, asking if he can get a question for providing so much entertainment. Intrigued, the manager agrees to answer one question as a reward for the amusing show. He grips his gun, making it perfectly clear that 1 is a very hard limit. Lu Yao immediately calls him out, saying his whole intimidation act was to steer people toward the blue orders. Then he drops the real theory: if a red order gets completed, the manager himself has to pay a price. This manager's smug expression falters for a moment, clearly not expecting to be figured out. Lu Yao explains that is why he looked so relieved when a weakling got the 3 orders that would screw him over. With a sinister grin, the manager compliments his extraordinary potential and perfectly balanced arrogance. He confirms that bigger risks mean bigger rewards if you survive, before asking if there is anything else. Lu Yao smartly declines, saying he'd rather not test the one-hit kill policy on his own head. With a final knowing look, he reminds the manager he only promised 1 question and he is not done talking. This manager just tips his hat, casually admitting his whole evil plan has been exposed. With a sinister grin, he compliments Lu Yao for surviving his last death trap trial, clearly impressed. But as Lu Yao leaves, another player blocks his path, this one glowing like a human light bulb. Our boy shields his eyes, completely unamused by the blindingly arrogant entrance. This new guy, a mountain of muscle, announces he drew 3 easy blue orders. He then shoves his handbook at Lu Yao, demanding a trade. The classic bully the newbie routine continues. Grabbing our boy, he claims a low-level player cannot handle the red missions and he will protect him. Lu Yao's eyes narrow, instantly seeing through this guy's whole self-serving act. This bully smirks, offering a less friendly alternative if he does not want to cooperate. Revealing his level 15 status, he suggests Lu Yao can just fight him for it instead, a generous offer. Lu Yao actually recognizes the name Meng Xiaohua, a guy known for clearing a strong-level trial. Meng Xiaohua smugly asks for his decision, confident his reputation has sealed the deal. So Lu Yao hands over the book and the big guy praises his smart choice, promising protection. This moment Meng rips out the orders, a system prompt locks him into the missions, no take-backsies. Walking away, Lu Yao just smirks and says, "Oops, my hand slipped," a truly classic excuse. Meng immediately realizes something is wrong and yells for him to stop right there. Powering up his cybernetic arm, he lunges at Lu Yao, ready to teach him a lesson. But his punch is blocked by a massive pair of glowing purple scissors that appear out of nowhere. This bully is completely stunned, staring at the bizarre weapon that just saved Lu Yao's skin. And there is Lu Yao, now behind him with a demonic grin, asking what lesson he was supposed to learn. Meng Xiaohua just smirks, not even remotely mad about getting played. Instead, he gives a big thumbs up, saying he is actually a pretty reasonable guy. Lu Yao plays right along, summoning his weapon and saying he must have misunderstood. This 2 of them share a laugh, with Meng calling him a shameless, sneaky fox. With a casual wave, they part ways like old buddies who just had a friendly spar. But as Lu Yao leaves, Meng's face darkens. He is still dead set on getting those high-risk rewards. Before he can make a move, though, he has got to deal with some other pests first. He seems completely unimpressed by these new challengers, asking if they want their accounts deleted. Then another group arrives, announcing they are here on orders from the 3 elders to take him out. Their leader immediately lunges forward, hoping to score a massive profit by defeating him. Meng blocks the attack with his cybernetic arm without even flinching, shocking the onlookers. In a flash, he has got the attacker in a chokehold, taunting him about his lack of strength. A massive surge of power erupts from him, his eyes glowing with terrifying energy. This poor guy starts disintegrating as his friends identify Meng's special ability, Muscle Dominator. Meng just basks in the glory, smugly confirming that he is, in fact, that powerful. After wiping the floor with them, he announces he will be taking their red orders as his prize. Meanwhile, Lu Yao arrives at a creepy villa for his own high-level mission. He reads the details, a simple lost-and-found delivery to a boss called Madwoman. This item in question is a seriously unsettling blood-stained doll with an ominous description, and Lu Yao's only complaint is the sloppy service and vague instructions, a true professional. Lu Yao arrives at the creepy villa, confirming this is the delivery address for the Madwoman. He then makes a very professional announcement into the intercom for his esteemed client. For a moment, there is just an eerie silence as he waits, totally unimpressed. And then a deafening scream blasts out from inside the house. It hits him like a psychic shockwave, with Lu Yao dryly noting the less than warm welcome. Meanwhile, another player completes his high-level food delivery to a ranch full of wolves. His reward is getting strung up like a piñata, understandably confused about the company's bonus policy. A literal wolf in sheep's clothing explains the food he brought just was not enough, but with the delivery boy added to the menu, the portions are just right, bon appetit. Elsewhere, a woman with pink hair successfully delivers a giant bell to a remote temple. Her gratitude comes in the form of getting impaled by several staffs, which she finds a bit rude. This head monk explains there is no misunderstanding. It is all written clearly on her order, because her real job was delivering them to the afterlife, a one-way trip for her. On the complete opposite end of the difficulty spectrum, the Chunlai knockoff delivers a simple love letter. He is gloating about how easy it was, while the veiled recipient is just happy someone wrote to her. Another low-level order flashes up, this one for delivering weight loss pills to a gym. This delivery goes off without a hitch and the mission is completed instantly. A different player celebrates how simple the blue orders are as a system log shows multiple successes. Back at the villa, Liu Yao's already lost a chunk of health from that screen-based security system, but our boy just pulls out a potion, calmly stating he came prepared for this exact brand of nonsense. After chugging the potion, he is back at full health, ready for whatever this house throws at him. He lets out a small cough, still feeling the aftershocks of that absolutely insane welcome scream. Undeterred, Liu Yao gets back on the intercom, professionally announcing the delivery once again. A distorted voice crackles back, telling him to just come on in by himself. Peering through the locked gate, he sarcastically calls her a gentle woman and asks how he is supposed to enter. This only response he gets is more static buzzing, the universal sign for not my problem. So Liu Yao just says he understands, summoning his giant demon scissors with a very telling smirk. With one clean slice, he carves a brand new entrance right through the ornate iron gate. Strolling through the wreckage, he makes his way to the front door, creepy doll in hand. He pushes the doors open and announces his delivery service with the confidence of a man who owns the place. But even our boy looks a little tense, his eyes darting around, clearly on high alert. This inside of the villa is an absolute disaster, just a long hallway of trash and a single static-filled TV. Finding his client, he politely holds out the package, trying to finish this bizarre job. This woman immediately shushes him, warning him not to wake her precious Xiaoxiao. And Xiaoxiao is a horrifying, stitched-up creature she is cradling, asking if it is not just adorable. Liu Yao puts on his best customer service smile, agreeing her child has a bright future before trying to hand off the doll. For a moment, the woman's expression darkens as she stares at the doll he is holding. She finally recognizes it, asking if that is the doll that belongs to her Xiaoxiao. But then she glances down at the monster in her arms, completely confused since Xiaoxiao is right there. Liu Yao just stands there as she gets lost in thought, trying to solve this very disturbing puzzle. This woman's brain finally connects the dots, accusing him of trying to steal her precious Xiaoxiao. With a crazy laugh, she tosses the doll aside, calling him a liar for trying to replace her child. Her eyes start glowing as she screams at him to die, fully committed to the protective mother routine. As she lunges with a knife, Liu Yao dodges, realizing diplomacy has officially left the building. Her murder vows continue as she keeps coming at him, completely and utterly unhinged. Our boy makes a tactical retreat down the hall, heading for the nearest door he can find. He just barely manages to slam it shut, putting some solid wood between him and the crazy. Leaning against the door for a second, he knows she is right on the other side, ready for round 2. This screaming continues unabated, demanding he return her baby immediately. Liu Yao calmly holds the door, looking like he is just dealing with a minor inconvenience. Meanwhile, the door is taking an absolute beating, shaking under the force of her relentless attack. With a smirk, he realizes this door is on its last legs and he needs a plan B fast. Inside the room, the vibe is completely different. It is a clean, almost cheerful-looking kid's bedroom. And just in time, too, as dark energy starts cracking the door he just locked. Looking around, he spots some children's drawings on the wall, starting to piece things together. One drawing shows a happy mother and daughter, with a note about wanting mommy to be happy. Liu Yao's expression gets serious as the tragic backstory starts to become painfully clear. He then finds a desk calendar with the first page marking something important for Xiaoxiao. Flipping through it, he realizes this has been going on for a very, very long time. This calendar goes all the way to day 2000, revealing the sheer scale of this woman's grief. He flips through the calendar, which has been crossed out for over 2,000 days straight. Nearby, he spots the delivery company's card, promising to grant any desire for the right price. Liu Yao holds up the card, sarcastically calling out the company for its blatant false advertising. At that moment, a knife blade stabs right through the door. She is not giving up. Our boy concludes he has to calm this woman down somehow if he wants to complete the mission. Searching for a distraction, his gaze falls upon a large wardrobe in the corner of the room. A truly unhinged plan forms as he opens the doors, announcing he has a bold idea. Just as the madwoman finally punches a hole clean through the door with her bare fist, she peers through the splintered wood, still screaming for him to give back her child. Her rage suddenly quiets, her eyes closing as if she has finally heard something familiar. And out steps Liu Yao in a frilly pink dress, calling out mommy, a new low in customer service. This woman is completely stunned, asking if he is really Xiaoxiao, all grown up now. Overcome with emotion, she drops the knife and pulls him into a tearful, desperate hug. But Liu Yao's smile is pure malice as he whispers, "No, mommy," revealing the golden card. He grabs her hand, turning the knife back on her while asking about their supposed agreement. Forcing the blade into her, he asks why she did not protect him, triggering a horrific memory. This scene flashes back to the real Xiaoxiao, a little girl playing innocently in a field. While she is drawing, a shadowy figure in a hat approaches her from behind. This girl looks up with a bright, trusting smile, asking the stranger what they want. Her eyes widen in pure terror before the scene cuts to her blood-stained doll alone in the grass. This memory flashes back to a happier time, with the mother sweetly calling for Xiaoxiao to come eat. Back in the present, Liu Yao's words of suggestion skill activates, forcing her to relive the trauma. Her mind rewinds further to the day she first found the Yellow Spring Express delivery service. A smarmy man in a top hat explains their motto: they do not just fulfill desires, they create them. Desperate, she shows him a photo of her daughter, begging to know if he has seen her. His simple confirmation that he has sends a jolt of pure, undiluted hope through the grieving mother. She immediately grabs his arm, pleading with him to tell her everything he knows. But this guy just smirks, smoothly explaining that their services are not exactly free. Without a second thought, she drops to her knees, willing to pay any price to get her daughter back. His hand glows with a sinister green energy as he offers the deal, her sanity in exchange for her child. He then places his hand on her head, saying her abilities will make her an excellent client. As the spell takes hold, she begs him to stop, finally realizing the true cost of this demonic bargain. Snapping back to the present, Lu Yao notes that she is desperately resisting his suggestion spell. Her mind is completely fractured, replaying the moment she woke up to find Xiaoxiao gone forever. She is desperately trying to cling to the illusion, begging not to wake up to the horrible reality. Lu Yao just watches, coldly diagnosing her condition as a tragedy born of obsession and self-deception. In her mind, she is a puppet trapped by her own grief, unable to escape the nightmare she built. This illusion starts to crack as she clutches her head, the word mommy echoing in her thoughts. Suddenly, a vision of the real Xiaoxiao appears before her, causing her to recoil in absolute denial. And the whole thing shatters like glass, revealing Lu Yao holding the doll, telling her to stop pretending. Lu Yao mockingly congratulates her for finally accepting reality, a real class act. Completely shattered, the woman can only ask if she has finally woken from the nightmare. Still in the dress, Lu Yao explains the doll is a message from his boss, telling her to connect the dots. He then gives her a little life lesson on self-deception, because why not add insult to injury? With the therapy session over, he hands her the doll and asks for a 5-star review. Customer satisfaction is key. A system notification confirms the mission's success, promoting him to outstanding employee as he turns to leave. But just as he is about to make his exit, the woman calls out for him to wait. Clutching the doll, she asks the one question that still matters: is her daughter alive? Our boy just gives a cryptic non-answer, telling her she will have to go find out for herself. This focus shifts to the doll, a silent reminder of the real Xiaoxiao. Back in the room, the mother tells the doll to wait for her path now tragically clear. In another location, a small stone effigy of the mother suddenly shatters into pieces. This smarmy top hat guy picks up the broken head, revealing he was watching the whole time. He muses that the madwoman's story is over, calling it a pretty good show. With a sinister grin, he declares it is time for the next act of his little play to begin. Turning towards a door, he creepily asks Xiaoxiao if she agrees, and from behind the closed doors, a child's terrified crying echoes out. Meanwhile, at a fitness center, a new customer vows to use his weight loss medicine to control his appetite. He opens the box to find not pills, but a feast of fried chicken and burgers, his resolve instantly crumbling. This poor guy is just drenched in sweat, fighting a losing battle against the overwhelming, magically induced hunger. This hunger curse kicks in hard, his mind now completely consumed by the need for food. He tries to fight it, clutching himself as the overwhelming craving becomes pure agony. But his willpower completely shatters, leaving him standing there like a mindless, hungry zombie. With glowing red eyes and a guttural roar, he fully transforms into a creature of pure instinct. His crazed vision locks onto a new target, smelling food where there is only another person. That poor delivery guy makes a run for it, screaming for the monster to stay away. Now a hunger walker, the beast chases him down, ready to make this guy his next meal. Meanwhile, in a totally different nightmare, a dude in a Chun-Li outfit asks what the problem is. He is being interrogated by a jade-faced bride, a high-level boss with zero patience. She holds up a very insulting note, demanding to know which of her lackeys wrote the love letter. Our Chun-Li wannabe is so terrified he is literally beside himself, swearing it was not him. Unimpressed, she crumples the paper, having decided he is completely useless to her, and the sentence is carried out instantly with a scream and a freshly severed hand. System alerts pop up, confirming a negative review and the deaths of several more employees. Elsewhere, a bald guy with a cyberarm runs through the woods, grumbling about difficult jobs. He gripes that the only way to advance is through high-level orders, but he only got one. His mission is to deliver a love letter to the King of the Abyss, a truly brilliant career move. Suddenly, a rustle in the undergrowth makes him freeze in his tracks. He drops into a defensive stance, immediately suspecting a monster ambush. Peering into the darkness, he prepares to face whatever horrors this trial has waiting for him. Out in the woods, Lu Yao finally gets out of that dress, complaining it was a little tight. His little striptease is immediately interrupted by the cyberarm guy, who is absolutely losing his mind. Our boy just turns, completely unfazed by having an audience for his post-mission wardrobe change. He even gives a friendly wave, admitting he has been caught with zero shame whatsoever. But the bald dude spots the outstanding employee mark, realizing Lu Yao somehow cleared a red order. Lu Yao casually explains he won a cross-dressing contest, which is a new one for the company handbook. He then offers the guy the dress, who wisely turns down the cursed artifact. Internally, the guy is convinced this shameless weirdo must be the one who cleared the fierce trial. Seeing an opportunity, he suggests they team up to tackle the remaining high-level orders together. He explains that when monsters leave bad reviews, they start hunting employees, so cooperation is key. To prove he is serious, the cyberarm guy hands over his own mission details as a sign of trust. Lu Yao takes the red card, and his new partner asks if there is a problem. Turns out his delivery is also for the high-level boss, the King of the Abyss. They both have the same recipient, and Lu Yao notes this king must be a real romantic. Just as they are about to make a plan, a sound from the woods cuts them off, and it is the hunger walker from before, roaring about smelling some fresh food nearby. This cyberarm guy tells Lu Yao to run while he holds the monster off, a classic hero move. He turns back only to find Lu Yao just standing there, not moving an inch. Our boy pulls on a cloak, suggesting they should try to work with the monster to avoid damage. Meanwhile, the bald guy is thinking this monster is so tough he will need a special move just to survive. This cyberarm guy decides he cannot reveal his trump card while this weirdo is still watching. He tries to get Lu Yao to leave, insisting he has a secret plan to deal with the monster alone. But Lu Yao just says he is ready to go, completely ignoring the very obvious hint to scram. Just then, the hunger walker lets out a roar, having finally sniffed out the scent of fresh meat. It peeks from behind a tree, drooling and demanding they stop hiding so it can eat them. Suddenly, a much scarier, scissor-wielding shadow appears, claiming them as its asterisk new prey. This hooded nightmare's glowing red eyes scan the area, sensing another presence nearby, and it immediately assumes someone is trying to steal its kill because sharing is not in the monster handbook. This hunger walker is now absolutely terrified, insisting it was just passing by, a total misunderstanding. Scissorface is not buying it for a second, looming over the creature as it begs to be let go. With that, the former predator makes a mad dash for the hills, running for its life. Turns out Lu Yao's evil spirit cloak makes him undetectable, scaring off the monster without a fight. He then tells his partner on the ground that the coast is clear, like he just shooed away a stray cat. Lu Yao follows up by suggesting they add each other as friends, a very modern solution to a monster problem. After helping the guy up, our boy immediately asks for healing items, ever the opportunist. Walking together, the cyberarm guy explains that bad reviews in this trial make the monsters hunt you down. He recounts a past failure where his whole team got wiped out by enraged monsters after taking easy jobs. Lu Yao connects the dots. High difficulty red orders must be the only real way to clear this trial. His new partner is totally on board, flexing his cyberarm, ready for some high-stakes deliveries. Meanwhile, another team of employees runs for their lives, screaming that they completed their order but are still being hunted. This other team of employees is getting chased by a giant centipede, screaming that it appeared right after their delivery. His terrified teammate asks if maybe, just maybe, it had something to do with what they delivered. And it is revealed they delivered pesticide to a giant bug, customer service at its absolute finest. Suddenly, they spot someone else up ahead, seeing a golden opportunity. This lead genius immediately decides to lure the monster to the stranger, a plan with zero flaws. But the person they spotted is the cyberarm guy, and he is sprinting right towards them. He promptly grabs the coward and uses him as a human shield, a beautiful no-you moment. Looking back, he sees something way worse than a bug, Lu Yao's terrifying shadow form. And now he is the one running for his life from our boy's scissor-wielding persona. Even the giant centipede is frozen in absolute terror, watching this new horror unfold. This bug decides nope and immediately dives into a bush to hide from the madness. Meanwhile, Lu Yao is just having the time of his life, cackling as he chases his new partner through the forest. In that same bush, the cowardly delivery guys are also hiding, right next to the monster they just fled from. And the bug slowly turns, realizing it has some very awkward company, which sends the coward screaming and running from the bug all over again, having learned absolutely nothing. Catching his breath, the cyberarm guy asks Lu Yao if his scream is just naturally that intimidating to monsters. But it is actually his ferocious corruption skill, currently sitting at a cool 25% power. This guy wonders if Lu Yao is even human, while our boy just thinks it is his handsome charm making people run. Elsewhere, a different employee completes a high-level order, delivering a massive blood-stained temple bell. A woman's hand touches it, noting the heavy price of clearing these top-tier missions. A pink-haired woman muses that only high-level orders lead to promotion, meaning her old approach was all wrong. Walking away from the bodies and the bell, she gets a new mission, wondering if it is from the three elders. Two guys watching from below are completely blown away, realizing she is a top-tier player. She lands in front of them, coolly dismissing their praise and asking what commission they have brought her. A girl with red pigtails grins, offering a blue-tier item to assassinate someone named Mangzai. This assassin adjusts her shades, surprised the elders are paying so well and wondering what the target did. But one of the guys steps forward, announcing there is an even more generous offer available. Now she is intrigued, putting a hand on her hip and telling him to spill the details. This other job is to find the guy who cleared the fierce level trial, our boy Lu Yao, for double the reward. She turns it down flat, saying she is a killer, not a pie, and she will take the first job with payment up front. This pigtail girl gets a sly look, asking if she will go easy on Mangzai since they have a history. A flashback reveals she and the cyberarm guy were once teammates, and she admits they were on good terms. In fact, he saved her life back then, so she owes him a life debt, making this whole situation very awkward. As a trade request pops up, she tells the girl to relay a message to her guild master. If they want her to kill a friend who saved her life, they are gonna have to pay a lot more. Meanwhile, Lu Yao and his new partner, Mangzai arrive in a dark, creepy forest. This cyberarm guy admits he has no clue what this king of the abyss is supposed to look like. As they step over a field of bones, a deep voice suddenly calls out, identifying them as humans. They both freeze in place, trying to pinpoint where the ominous voice is coming from, and a giant toothy maw roars from the shadows, demanding to know why they have entered its king's territory. From the shadows, a creepy little gremlin with a glowing green grin perches in a tree. Lu Yao looks up, a flicker of recognition in his eyes as if he has seen this thing before. In a blur of motion, the creature leaps from the branches, diving straight for them. It smashes into the ground with a huge impact, kicking up a cloud of dust and fury. And this is the king of the abyss, a bandaged-up goblin who really hates humans. Mangzai tries to play it cool, holding up the red order and explaining he is just the delivery guy. This king actually recognizes the order, demanding they return its stolen eyes immediately. Our cyberarm guy is completely lost, having no clue what this monster is talking about. It then recounts a tragic tale of a terrifying human who stole its eyes mid-feast, and that silhouette is looking real familiar. Apparently, the thief had a fierce-level bodyguard, so the poor king was too scared to get revenge. Meng Xiaohua scoffs at the idea while Lu Yao in the background tries his best to look innocent. So the monster turned to the next best thing for justice, the delivery company's lost and found. This ultimatum is simple: either bring back its eyes or leave their own as a replacement. Just then, a new voice cuts in as the pink-haired assassin from before makes her entrance. A whole squad is perched in the trees above, taunting Meng Xiaohua that there is no escape this time. When asked if she is a friend, Lu Yao clarifies she's the type who'd kill her own dad for the right price. She takes this as a massive compliment, striking a pose like she just won an award for it. With the bounty confirmed, she agrees to take the job, leaving our boys totally surrounded. Meng Xiaohua tries to appeal to their old friendship, but she is clearly not in a negotiating mood. Lu Yao then suggests the two of them fight it out while he, a humble newbie, just quietly slips away, a truly selfless offer. This pink-haired assassin is not buying his act, noting that helpers get dealt with too. Lu Yao sighs dramatically, lamenting that his brilliant plan to mingle as a newbie is now ruined. He then turns to the monster, announcing he will just have to deal with all asterisk of them instead, which leaves the King of the Abyss completely and utterly confused by this sudden plot twist. Even the assassin squad is just blinking, trying to process what the hell his game is. This monster points a shaky claw, asking if he was not with the ambush party like 5 seconds ago. Pulling back his hood, Lu Yao gets ready for the most unnecessarily dramatic reveal ever, and with a smug grin he asks the King of the Abyss if it recognizes his handsome face. This monster's one good eye widens in absolute soul-shaking terror. A flashback confirms it. Lu Yao is the terrifying human who smacked it around and stole its eyes. We see the poor creature cowering in the past, a victim of a very personal crime. And the so-called fierce bodyguard was just some woman hanging off his arm at the time. Back in the present, the King of the Abyss is losing its mind, realizing its tormentor is back. From the trees, the assassins mock the newbie for running straight to the monster, calling him an idiot. Lu Yao just stands before the roaring beast, coolly commenting that it has not changed at all. But the monster's attack hand freezes midair, realizing this guy is way too calm. Our boy just looks up with a predatory grin, practically daring it to make a move. This King of the Abyss finally gets it, this is a trap, and he is being baited into attacking. It starts sweating, convinced that the terrifying woman from the flashback must be nearby, ready to pounce. So Lu Yao just slings an arm around the monster, declaring them best friends now, problem solved. This assassin's crew is completely baffled by this turn of events, demanding to know what the hell is going on. Lu Yao then casually asks his terrified new bestie to help him clean house, a truly touching moment of friendship. This King of the Abyss is sweating, realizing it is now stuck between its tormentor and a whole squad of killers. So our boy dangles the ultimate prize in front of it, the very eye he stole in the first place. He offers it back as a reward for a job well done, a generous offer from the guy who committed the crime. Of course, if the monster refuses, Lu Yao muses he could just get another *1 for his lover, a subtle hint. That seals the deal, and completing the order instantly promotes Lu Yao to supervisor. This new rank lets him resist the store manager's will, and he is absolutely thrilled about it. With a swift kick for encouragement, he sends his new monster minion flying into battle. Up in the trees, the ambush party is stunned as the monster's aggro suddenly flips to them. Lu Yao just gives a friendly wave, cheering on his new pet from the sidelines, and the King of the Abyss goes on a tear, ripping through the assassins with blinding speed. This pigtail girl calls for backup against the agility-type beast, summoning a smaller creature to help. But the pink-haired assassin is just whistling, walking away from the chaos her team is in. She tells them to hold the line while she handles Lu Yao, a true master of passing the buck. Just then, a huge guy named Zhou Peng powers up a steam rush behind her, and he launches himself not at the monster but directly at his own supposed leader. She is knocked back, surprised he'd use a powerful blue-tier skill on her. But Meng Xiaohua in a powered-up masked form steps in to protect her. She just smirks, accusing him of having ulterior motives for protecting Lu Yao so fiercely. She smirks, now even more curious about why Meng Xiaohua is protecting Lu Yao so fiercely. Just then, a little straw doll zips through the air right towards Zhou Peng. He catches the life-saving item, realizing Meng Xiaohua just saved his leader from that attack. Meanwhile, a mysterious new guy muses that he always suspected Meng Xiaohua had ulterior motives. Holding a glowing blue card, he is confident he can just withdraw and still hold the upper hand. His current delivery order is incredibly cryptic, delivering laugh to a recipient named Cry. In another dark room, broken statues litter the floor as a voice notes some unexpected developments in the plan. This brings us to a mustachioed man with a cigar, the apparent mastermind, who accepts that scripts can deviate. He is shocked to learn the station has a new supervisor, Lu Yao, who can actually threaten the store manager. As the self-proclaimed playwright of this whole act, he is annoyed that things have become so unpredictable. We see him controlling several employees like puppets, declaring that actors should not stray from his script. But then his puppets' platforms shatter and all their low-level orders are suddenly marked as failed. From the wreckage, a dark, tendril-like energy with a sinister blue aura begins to rise. This playwright lies on the floor as it flows from him, complaining that normal employees do not generate enough evil value. He lets out a pained cry, clearly struggling to contain whatever this power is. Then he calms himself, promising some unseen entity that it will soon be free. His new plan now hinges on Liu Yao, who carries a massive amount of evil value from his fierce level trial. This villain boasts he is already at the peak of strong level, just one step away from reaching that same tier. His strategy is to let Liu Yao ripen before making his order fail, harvesting him at the perfect moment. Because if our boy fails, this puppeteer will finally be freed from whatever is trapping him here. This assassin squad is left completely wiped out at the base of a creepy tree. A tiny gremlin gloats over them, calling them fools for messing with the king of the abyss. MangaCapped holds up one of the goons, getting a compliment on his strength from the little monster. But then the gremlin starts screaming, its eye glowing with a painful red light. It collapses to the ground in agony, leaving MangaCapped to wonder what is wrong. This creature realizes its Yellow Spring Express order is backfiring on it. Apparently, if you fail an order, the store manager takes control and it had one left to find love. MangaCapped kneels down, casually informing the monster that he is its pending delivery. This little guy starts sweating, completely horrified by what he is implying. With a deeply unsettling grin, MangaCapped says delivering love is well within his skill set. He then grabs the creature and forces it into a kiss because consent is just a suggestion, and we get a romantic silhouette of this beautiful union, complete with a heart shape. This poor thing is left crying, clearly having the worst day of its entire life. For this act of heroism, MangaCapped completes the deliver love order and gets a promotion. Elsewhere, a giant bug monster is rampaging through a city, firing lasers everywhere. A new guy with black hair watches the destruction, commenting that the monsters are going wild. He then confronts someone off-screen, asking why they are following him instead of MangaCapped. It is the pink-haired assassin, getting flirty and telling him he'd have to beat her first. She warns him that the top 100 players are basically livestock with no morals left. And the top 10, like MangaCapped, are even worse. They will do absolutely anything to win. This black-haired guy smirks, asking the assassin what her real reason is for getting close. Getting right in his face, she explains she just wants to figure out what he is worth, professionally, of course. Elsewhere, a bunch of players are respawning as blue holograms in a lobby area. It is the defeated assassin squad, with two of them whining about getting killed and reset to level 1. A quick group chat confirms it. The entire squad, except for their leader, has been wiped out. One of the squad members is absolutely furious, screaming in frustration over their total party wipe. Her teammate points out their captain is still inside with the leader, prompting her to try and send a message. Her message goes out to Joe Peng, telling him to finish the job since they are all dead. But the message immediately fails. Turns out their leader has already unfriended them. How thoughtful. This betrayal sends the squad into a rage, realizing their own leader has blocked them. This pigtail girl immediately connects the dots. Their leader blocked them to steal the bounty for herself. Her teammate is just baffled, as if being a top 100 player automatically means you have a moral compass. She realizes they underestimated her, griping that top players are shameless, and now she has to answer to the elders. At that moment, a new squad in red jackets runs up, calling out to their captain. This new guy holds up a tablet, explaining that he managed to record something important. On the tablet is a recording of a shadowy fighter with insane gear, a traveler they apparently ran into. He wonders if this is the same person the elders have a huge bounty on for clearing the fierce level trial. With a wicked grin, the pigtail girl says who cares if it is him, they can use the footage to file a report anyway. And speaking of reports, the pink-haired leader is already messaging her guild leader about a major discovery. This trial is officially named Yellow Spring Express, as the two schemers stand on a rooftop overlooking the city. This pink-haired assassin is in hot pursuit of Liu Yao, playfully asking why he is running. As he parkours over a chasm, she yells that she is just going to trade him in for some reward money. She then drops a hint about the elders putting a huge bounty on whoever cleared the fierce level trial. With a knowing glance, she asks if he thinks that legendary player might be him. Liu Yao finally skids to a dramatic halt, clearly done with this little game of tag. She looms over him, having cornered her target and confidently declaring he is the one. Her smugness is off the charts, boasting that his agility is way too low for him to escape her. But our boy just smirks back, completely unfazed and asking what she plans to do about it. This assassin switches tactics completely, claiming she has a great proposal for him. Pulling out a massive pink rifle, she offers to kill him and split the bounty 50-50, a truly generous deal. Liu Yao is totally caught off guard, assuming from the weapon that she is a gunner. But she corrects him with a sly smile, revealing she is actually a spellcaster. Using her rifle as a focus, she unleashes a powerful tier 3 spell right at him, which turns out to be a haste spell, a buff that boosts movement and attack speed for 10 minutes. He is left standing in a swirl of blue energy, wondering why on earth she give him a power-up. She then asks if he is confused about why she is not trying to fight him over the bounty. Apparently this is a PvE trial, and she thinks they should team up instead of acting like her idiot teammates. Liu Yao, now in chibi form, calls her bluff, guessing the reward just is not enough for a pro like her. She finally admits the real reason. Only a supervisor can face the final boss, and he is the only one here. With a surprising bit of camaraderie, she tells him to just run if he cannot win, calling him a rookie. Elsewhere, the mysterious card holder smirks, confident he understands his cryptic delivery order. He finds himself in a massive, dark hall with a strange wailing sound echoing from within, but then his own eyes start tearing up, completely baffled by this sudden wave of sadness. At the bottom of a grand staircase sits a tiny figure, the source of the heartbreaking cries. It is a creepy little stone baby, just sitting there sobbing its miserable little heart out. This creature then lunges forward with a terrifying scream, clearly not in the mood for company. Dark energy starts pouring off it as its wails intensify, filling the entire room. Our guy just looks down on it, condescendingly asking if crying is all it can do. He then kneels down, offering to make it laugh, which is literally his mission objective. A moment later, his expression shifts to one of pure, unadulterated shock. A single tear falls, splashing onto the floor, but it is not from the baby. It is him, now crying uncontrollably and realizing he physically cannot laugh anymore. He immediately figures out this must be the creature's ability, and he has walked right into its trap. This little monster gets right in his face, wailing about its own pain, probably feeding on his misery. His eyes are just waterfalls at this point, completely overwhelmed by this forced despair. As a dark aura seeps from him, the creature invites him to play and explore his inner world. This scene then dissolves into a sunset view of a city from inside a building. Revealing his inner world is a hospital room, a place clearly tied to some past trauma. This stone baby is there too, now asking to see what his deepest pain and fear are. With a surprisingly sympathetic look, the creature seems to accept his unspoken answer. This card holder, still in his hospital gown, challenges the little monster to see his pain for itself. His face then twists into a literal vortex as he asks if the baby is ready to find out what is inside. This little stone creature is completely stunned, realizing this guy's memories are anything but human. Our boy just casually calls that horrifying vision an appetizer from his unpleasant past. From the darkness, he promises to show it his real painful memories, unleashing a torrent of shadows. A whole legion of nightmare creatures with glowing red eyes starts to pour out from his trauma. These things are just a writhing mass of teeth and claws, the absolute worst things you can imagine. Surrounded by his own demons, he gleefully tells the baby it finally has a friend to share its pain with, and now it is the baby's turn to scream in absolute, pants-sweating terror. Back in the hall, the card holder just boots the little monster across the floor, breaking the psychic link. This crying baby scrambles away as fast as its little stone legs can carry it. Still weeping from the initial attack, our guy mockingly begs it not to leave since he is not done sharing. It makes a desperate dash for some doors, wailing the whole way. This door slams shut, giving it a brief moment of false hope. Cowering in a corner, the baby cries for its mommy, calling the card holder a monster. Oh, the irony. But a golden ring of energy blasts the door from the other side. Smashing right through the wall, the card holder leans in, still crying, and asks why it ran away. This terrified baby tells him to stay back, but he just wants to know if his pain was special enough for it. Meanwhile, the mustachioed playwright villain takes a puff from his cigar, admitting he just loves a good tragedy. He stands before two mannequins representing the players, musing on how great it feels to savor someone else's pain. This mustachioed playwright explains his little monster's power. It weaponizes sorrow to break its victims. But even he is confused why his ultimate sadness machine is suddenly terrified of Lu Yao's memories. Back in the fight, the stone baby is wailing, but this time it is a scream of pure fear. Lu Yao just tosses a small doll on the ground, making the creature shriek for him to get away. He stands over the cowering monster, completely turning the tables on this psychic beatdown. At his feet lies the source of the terror, a simple, handmade doll of a little girl. This doll triggers a painful flashback for Lu Yao, hinting at a tragic past involving a child. As the baby cries for its mommy, our boy just calmly calls it kid, showing zero intimidation. Kneeling down, he asks if its real name was Zio, connecting some very dark dots. This name seems to strike a chord as the baby repeats it in total confusion. It then asks if he has seen its mommy, the name clearly unlocking some buried part of it. Suddenly, the creature grabs its head, screaming in agony from the mental feedback. This psychic backlash hits Lu Yao too, leaving both of them clutching their heads in pain. In a panic, the baby unleashes a powerful wave of green energy right at him. This blast sends our boy flying, knocking his giant scissor blade from his grasp. A whole storm of green tendrils erupts from the creature, trying to finish him off. Lu Yao desperately scrambles across the ground, dodging the relentless energy spikes. Flipping and weaving through the barrage, he barely stays one step ahead of the attack. After the assault, he catches his breath, looking more annoyed than anything else. He realizes the haste buff from Zhou Peng saved his skin just as the baby is sealed away. Lu Yao's giant scissor blade gets snagged by a web of green energy, and he realizes he has been played. Still crying from the psychic attack, he reveals he set up his own puppet threads as a failsafe. At the top of the stairs, the mustachioed playwright appears, casually commenting on his dangerous weapon. This guy dabs his own eyes with a handkerchief, blaming the baby's power for his sudden waterworks. Lu Yao finds himself in a grand hall lined with creepy mannequins as the man welcomes him to the company. With a classic facepalm, our boy sarcastically thanks the manager for coming to inspect his work. This manager plops down on a throne, flanked by two mannequins, claiming it is just a friendly check-in. With a snap of his fingers, he dismisses the psychic sadness baby as just an unruly child. Puppet strings then descend from the ceiling, inviting Lu Yao to take a seat, which is not at all a trap. They proceed to have the most passive-aggressive, tear-filled conversation about what the manager wants. This villain then has the nerve to talk about maintaining a friendly workplace atmosphere. Surrounded by his mannequin army, he quizzes Lu Yao on the most important principle of business. A mannequin serves him tea as he smugly reveals the answer to his own question. It is all about demand. He then explains his truly evil business model. To succeed, you must create endless needs for your customers. Turns out that little crying monster is his star employee, designed to sniff out a client's deepest fears. And once he knows what they are afraid of, his job is to make that nightmare a permanent reality. For example, he shows a client who fears getting fat, now transformed into a ravenous, insatiable monster. This, he explains, creates a permanent demand for weight loss services, a truly brilliant, awful business plan. Another client's greatest fear is losing her beauty, so of course he's going to exploit that too. And his solution is to make her grotesque, ensuring she will always be a customer. This guy is just the worst. This manager continues his evil TED talk, explaining how he preys on people's insecurities for profit. We then cut to some other poor soul who failed his quest, now getting mauled by one of the manager's clients. Back in the hall, the villain asks Liu Yao about extreme evil value, and our boy just smirks, admitting he has some. This guy explains that for players it is a poison, but for his side it is basically XP for being a monster. He literally gets stronger when players fail their missions, which explains his whole twisted business model. To demonstrate, he has the little sadness baby run wailing towards the throne, still bound by green energy. This manager lays it all out. If the baby kills Liu Yao, he gets a massive power-up and a promotion. Still fake crying, he asks if his business model is not just the most profitable thing ever, the audacity. But he is also super curious what the baby saw in Liu Yao's head that broke its little stone brain. Liu Yao, lounging like a king, offers to spill the tea, but he is gonna take his sweet time with it. Deciding he has heard enough, the manager pulls out a revolver because some mysteries should stay buried. He even cocks the gun, quoting some edgy saying he probably picked up from the players he tortures. Then he forces the gun into the baby's hands, making his own minion pull the trigger. What a guy. Liu Yao just stares him down, completely unfazed, and says a cold goodbye. This gun fires in a massive blast of light, aimed right at our boy's face. But the manager's eyes go wide with shock because something is very, very wrong. Liu Yao blocked the bullet. With a freaking video game console, which is now smoking, holding up his trusty game device, he offers the villain a little piece of advice in return. A powerful aura erupts around him as he warns the guy to never assume your opponent has only one trump card. This manager is blown off his feet by the sheer pressure, totally unprepared for this level of power. This sheer force of Liu Yao's aura sends the manager and his entire mannequin entourage flying. With a mighty roar, he tries to summon some ultimate power, only to get a user unavailable error message. Tech support strikes again. Our boy just strikes a dramatic pose with his console, completely unfazed by his epic summoning fail. His cool facade then shatters as he screams at the device, asking if their trust means nothing. It is a whole relationship drama. Seeing this absolute meltdown, the manager breathes a sigh of relief, admitting that little stunt almost gave him a heart attack. Taking advantage of the moment, he immediately orders his remaining mannequins to swarm Liu Yao. A skull-faced mannequin closes in for the kill from behind, but Liu Yao does not even flinch. Its attack just shatters against an invisible barrier, completely stopped in its tracks. Stunned, the manager can only watch as his own minion gets tossed aside like a broken toy. It lands right on his own throne, completely wrecked and pinned by the chair's spires. And now Liu Yao reveals his real trump card, a weaponized pillow with maces which he apparently underestimated. This murder pillow literally has a do not disturb, I am napping sign on it. The disrespect is off the charts. Done with the surprises, the manager powers up, declaring he's going to deal with this supervisor personally. Our boy just gives the pillow a little pat, casually asking if it can handle the boss. In response, the pillow's mace hands clench, totally ready to throw down. He then hurls the pillow forward, sending it spinning like a demonic Beyblade right at the manager. This villain counters by unleashing a massive fan of green energy tendrils to try and catch it. But the spinning pillow just tears straight through his energy web without even slowing down. It slams into him and his own green energy whips back, ensnaring him as he yells in confusion. This manager gets a face full of weaponized fluff, getting absolutely pummeled by this ridiculous spinning pillow. This pillow slams home with a satisfying crunch, sending the manager flying across the room. A massive explosion of dust and debris confirms the direct hit that is definitely gonna leave a mark. In the aftermath, the little stone baby is left behind as Liu Yao reclaims his giant scissor blade. Standing tall amidst the wreckage, he cannot help but admit that his murder pillow was absolutely insane. But alas, it was a one-and-done item, a disposable nuke that is now completely used up. With the manager seemingly handled, Liu Yao decides it is time to deal with the source of the problem. Said problem is the little stone baby, now huddled behind a chair in full-on panic mode. As green energy tendrils erupt from the floor, Liu Yao prepares to finish this once and for all. He dives right into the fray, weaving through the energy spikes with surprising grace. His scissor blade becomes a blur, deflecting every single tendril coming his way. With a look of pure focus, he pushes forward, his stamina bar still looking pretty healthy. Leaping high into the air, he easily clears the forest of deadly green energy below. But a quick glance back reveals a horrifying truth. The manager is somehow still not dead. From a swirling vortex of green light, the villain reveals this was his secret trump card all along. This manager reemerges, now a skeletal zombie, smugly stating that one trump card is never enough. His power then explodes outwards, spreading his influence across the entire instance. Elsewhere, some poor brute gets a face full of that same green energy, screaming in agony. A nearby sniper wonders if this widespread chaos is somehow the newbie's fault. Great first impression. In yet another area, a hulking cyborg watches as a red-robed player gets absolutely wrecked. This player is slammed to the ground, another failure feeding the manager's power just as he planned. Meanwhile, another player, a bald dude built like a tank, spots the manager's power surge from afar. This source of it all is the little stone baby, still wailing as it is used like a living battery. Floating above, the manager gloats that Liu Yao has finally earned his full, undivided attention. He is settling for a pseudo-fierce rank, which he claims is more than enough to handle our boy. Liu Yao just scoffs, calling him out for flipping the table the second he started losing. Absolutely livid, the manager accuses Liu Yao of ruining years of his hard, evil work. Just then, a new puppet with butterfly wings descends from the ceiling, adding to the chaos. This fleshy, multi-legged creature lands between them, armed with what looks like a butter knife. This manager holds the crying baby, channeling its power directly into his new minion. His new puppet just lets out a blood-curdling scream, clearly not enjoying this arrangement. With a gesture, the manager commands the creature, forcing it to obey his will. He smugly notes that his out-of-control puppet has finally returned to him. But the monster charges forward with a scream, knife aimed not at Liu Yao but at its own master. It slashes right through the manager's energy tendrils, going straight for the source. This attack connects, slicing right at the villain in a shocking moment of betrayal. Leaping over the crying stone baby, the creature is dead set on taking its creator down. In response, the manager skewers his own creation with light beams, not a great HR policy. Liu Yao watches this, panting, and seems to recognize the rebellious monster. Looking up at the impaled creature, he just calls her a madwoman, confirming he knows her. He realizes she's not going to last, and now he has got to finish the mission on his own. With the manager's puppet defeated, the little stone baby is still just sitting there, boo-hooing its heart out. Liu Yao gets its attention, calling the crying creature a brat as its green eyes lock onto him. He then kneels down, asking if it has always wanted to see a real smile. Our boy tells it to take a good look, holding his hand up ominously. And then he proceeds to carve a bloody smile into his own face with a blade. This is not the therapy it needed. This little stone baby just stares as glowing red fragments fall from Liu Yao's face. With a terrifying grin, he asks if this is the smile it has been longing for. And boom, a system message confirms he has not only cleared the quest but also been promoted to deputy manager. Meanwhile, the actual manager calls his rebellious puppet pathetic for being blinded by rage. In his skeletal form, he scoffs that her desperate attack-for-attack strategy was completely pointless. He then casually backhands her, sending the madwoman flying across the room. She slams into a wall with a massive crash, completely taken out of the fight. Now the manager powers up, monologuing about his absolute authority as the boss of this whole operation. He is so full of himself, he claims even a fierce-level being could not touch him now. This only downside, he whines, is that he will have to find a new batch of clients to torture later. After absorbing the puppet's power, he announces he is coming for everyone else's evil value next. He spreads his arms wide, demanding everyone surrender their power to him. In the name of the Yellow Spring Express's manager, he tries to activate his ultimate move, but his big moment is ruined by a massive, beautiful error message right in his face. This system explains there is an authority conflict because there are now two managers and his connection has been severed. This manager is in absolute denial, screaming that it is impossible to make the little stone baby smile. On the throne, Liu Yao casually greets his colleague, now sporting a shiny new deputy manager title. With that horrifying carved grin, he asks the old boss if he is interested in an early retirement package. A system message confirms his promotion and perks, helpfully noting an authority conflict. This office only has room for one. This villain admits he underestimated our boy yet again, which is becoming a bit of a theme for him. He then tries to save face, claiming his pseudo-fierce power is still way out of Liu Yao's league. His brilliant plan is to just kill the new guy and get his job back, simple as that. Liu Yao just smirks because that logic has one tiny little flaw he is about to reveal. Right on cue, someone comes crashing through the ceiling like a meteor. Talk about a dramatic entrance. Our boy explains that as the new management, he still needs client consent for this kind of thing. It is the big brute from before, landing with a ground-shaking thud after being summoned as backup. This manager scoffs, dismissing the guy as just some lower-tier muscle, completely unimpressed. He tries to mind control the brute with a berserk spell, turning him into a mindless puppet. This spell works, sending the big guy into a furious rage, veins popping everywhere. But the manager's jaw drops as the brute just stands there, the mind control fizzling out around him. This absolute unit grabs the green energy tendrils with his bare hands, ready to snap them. With a mighty roar, he shatters the manager's control, breaking free completely. This backlash sends the skeletal villain flying, his puppet show officially cancelled. Now free and absolutely furious, the brute charges forward with murder in his eyes. He delivers a bone-shattering punch straight to the manager's smug face, customer satisfaction guaranteed. This brute's follow-up is a flaming axe kick, aimed right at the manager's head. His attack shoots across the room like a rocket, leaving a trail of fire in its wake. Watching from above, the sniper lady compliments Liu Yao's strength and asks to be friends. With his creepy new smile, Liu Yao just casually agrees, cool as ever. Elsewhere, the red-robed player who got wrecked earlier staggers to his feet, still defiant. He is immediately snatched from behind by the bald, muscular player we saw before. This guy holds the now skeletal minion, calling out the manager for all the trouble he has caused. This minion, however, calls the bald dude officer and tells him it is his turn to fight. Meanwhile, the hulking cyborg is also busy delivering a beatdown in another part of the instance. Back with our boy, the sniper explains that this officer is rumored to be the strongest player around. She then puts on some sunglasses, warning Liu Yao to avert his eyes for what is next. This skeletal minion, still in a headlock, nervously asks what the officer is planning to do. He explains his power. Muscle Dominator lets him buff any muscle in his body. Then he pops the big question, which muscle in the human body is the strongest? A look of pure, unadulterated horror dawns on the minion's face as he realizes the answer. Yep, his finisher is the demon tongue, and he boasts that no one's ever recovered from it. A system breakdown confirms his tongue is now a weapon that slows, penetrates, and paralyses with licks, and the skeletal minion is now blushing, surrounded by hearts vouching for how amazing it is. This red-robed player can only scream in terror as this whole horrifyingly intimate scene unfolds. His silhouette then shatters into pieces, completely annihilated by this unique combat style. Liu Yao is completely floored, admitting these high-level players are absolute monsters. And we see why the bald dude's moveset looks less like a fight and more like a very aggressive dance recital. Our boy cannot even watch, shielding his eyes from the sheer secondhand embarrassment. This sniper lady clarifies that, as absurd as it looks, this is a legit 70% finisher move. With his glowing carved grin, Liu Yao asks what a 70% move even is. She explains it is a rare ultimate that carves off 70% of an enemy's health in one hit. This particular one is a one-time use final strike, and the officer is going all in. His tongue slams into the minion with a sickening impact, ending the fight decisively. Even the sniper is horrified, saying getting hit by that would probably make you give up on life. Just then, a system message confirms the main quest is complete with a 1-minute evac timer. With the battle over, she suggests they become friends, warning him not to copy the tongue guy's style. She gives him a fist bump, calling him way more honorable than the other dude. But then she finally gets a good look at him and asks what in the world is up with his mouth. Liu Yao just deadpans that he was trying to make a child smile, which only makes her more confused. Meanwhile, the defeated madwoman puppet lies broken against a wall. This little stone baby toddles over, trying to wake the creature up. She comes to, asking the baby who it is and why it is helping her. This little one then asks if she knows where its mom is, a truly heartbreaking question. In response, the creature gently cups the baby's face in her hand, and with a faint smile she says it is good that it is grown up, revealing she is the mother. This little stone baby looks up, its glowing green eyes finally recognizing its mother. In response, the madwoman puppet just weeps, tears of sorrow and relief streaming down her face. A flashback shows her as a happy little girl running through a field and asking for a smile. Her own mother appears in the memory, gently telling her it is time to come home. With a joyful cry, the little girl runs straight towards her mom's open arms. It is a moment of pure, unfiltered happiness before everything went so horribly wrong. Back in the present, she holds her child close, whispering that she has finally found him. Watching this, the sniper lady starts bawling, wondering if she's secretly an empathetic person. But the bald officer shuts that down, explaining the baby just has a passive cry aura affecting everyone. She is immediately relieved, patting her chest, glad to know she is not actually a good person after all. Impressed by the fight, she tells Liu Yao he is strong and that they should team up next time. With the evac timer counting down, the officer agrees to meet later, having questions for our boy. Liu Yao just waves them off with that carved grin, promising they will meet next time for sure. His new friends teleport away in a flash of light, leaving him all alone in the ruins. This second they are gone, he drops the act with a sigh of relief, finally some peace and quiet. He then calls out to a figure in the rubble, saying the mastermind can stop playing dead now. And what do you know, the manager is still alive, telling his minion the mission is complete. Liu Yao just casually asks the defeated villain why he has not evacuated with everyone else. Our boy explains he is not just here to clear the trial, but to find the meaning of life, real deep stuff. And since he knows a mastermind is pulling the strings, leaving him alive just is not an option. A system message offers Liu Yao a choice: become manager and leave, or accept a hidden quest to find the truth. This defeated manager, sprawled out on the ground, admits our boy is a special kind of traveler. Suddenly, a creepy mannequin lady on a throne addresses Liu Yao by his full name. Looks like we found the real boss. With that horrifying carved grin, Liu Yao notes that she seems to know him quite well. She calls him an arrogant survivor of a past trial, clearly trying to get under his skin. This new mastermind claims to know all his secrets and trump cards, staring him down with glowing green eyes. Her lecture continues, listing his powers like his touch-based charm, which he casually confirms. Then she brings up his special weapon, noting it is useless if he cannot even land a hit. Her final point is his high evil value, revealing she has been watching him this whole time. Liu Yao just smirks back, saying he is not really into puppets, a direct and savage insult. That jab clearly lands as the mannequin lady points at him, completely losing her composure. She tries to play it off, accusing him of using mind games that she will not fall for. But her villain monologue is cut short by her entire head getting absolutely shattered. It is the skeletal minion from before, yelling that he has had enough of all her talking. He then dismisses the broken puppet, saying this is not even her real body anyway. Looking over at the first manager, he adds that the guy was just another disposable pawn. This mastermind, now surrounded by broken copies of herself, compliments Liu Yao's intelligence. And then we see him, a big chubby dude who seems to be the mastermind's true form. Liu Yao calmly states he suspected this was her real identity from the very beginning of the trial. Holding up a golden card, he reveals her motive. She creates desires because she is the greediest of all. This mastermind explains his whole deal. He grants desires through his yellow spring express to become all-powerful. As he talks, we see a flashback of his creepy mannequin puppets clawing their way up. In this memory, his true chubby form charges in, ready to break these manifestations of desire. But even he is shocked by their strength, barely stomping one as another dives right at him. This madwoman puppet is also back and stronger, now wielding a massive scythe. He monologues about how desire is a natural instinct as more of the puppets swarm him. His job, he claims, is just to unleash what is already there. But he says Liu Yao is different, calling our boy the perfect, reckless candidate to take over as the new manager. This flashback ends with the madwoman puppet lunging for the kill in a blur of motion. Back in the present, a new puppet embraces Liu Yao, pitching a team-up based on his enormous evil value. With his carved grin, Liu Yao asks if this is another job offer to be his personal puppet. This mastermind offers a classic deal: give up your body and they will be unstoppable together. But Lu Yao just smirks, dropping the bombshell question: who told you I cannot use evil value? And right on cue, the sky darkens as he unleashes his demonic descent power-up. Meanwhile, two other players are running for their lives from a giant bug monster screaming for help. They are confused because the manager is not chasing them, but they cannot afford to stop running. This guy with the ridiculous flat-top haircut glances back, sensing something is definitely off. They both stop and stare in terror as a dark silhouette descends from the stormy sky. It is Lu Yao, transformed with flowing white hair, looking like a full-on final boss. His new form is complete, clad in a dark, tattered cloak and ready for business. Lu Yao's demonic transformation is complete, rocking the horns, white hair, and a wicked new weapon. This mastermind is absolutely losing it, screaming that a mere traveler should not be able to use evil value. Our boy just ignores him, powering up his Life Reaper technique, ready to end this whole thing. With a dead serious look, he prepares to unleash a devastating final strike, and a massive energy beam just annihilates the entire area, leaving nothing but a crater. Meanwhile, somewhere in the evil realm, we cut to a very spooky-looking castle, where a horned demon lady is just trying to get some sleep, minding her own business. Suddenly, she sits up, sensing that insane power spike from Lu Yao's attack. Back on the battlefield, the system confirms the trial is over, leaving a giant smoking hole in the ground. This mastermind is completely wrecked, face-planting in the rubble he created. Nearby, some zombie-looking dude with glowing red eyes weakly calls out a name, and it turns out he is holding the little stone baby, trying to wake it up. This player with the flat top from earlier also staggers to his feet, shocked he is still breathing. He then spots the skeletal minion hiding under some rocks, which does not exactly calm his nerves. Both of them just stare at the crater, wondering if Lu Yao is really gone after all that. They both start freaking out, demanding to know who is there. And it is the demon lady from before, introducing herself as Lord Sloth, which is a whole mood. She looks completely unimpressed and demands a full report on everything that just went down. Apparently, Lu Yao is a known troublemaker, and she is opening a portal to go clean up his mess again, leaving the two survivors just grateful they did not get vaporized along with the boss. Lord Sloth steps out of her portal, looking about as thrilled as her name suggests. Meanwhile, the now humanoid puppet stumbles forward, desperately clutching the stone baby. He collapses at her feet, begging her to save his child from fading away. This guy is willing to pay any price, even prostrating himself before the demon lord. Lord Sloth just deadpans that the baby is basically a being made of pure resentment, and since the source of that resentment got nuked, the kid's about to disappear. This father is absolutely devastated, crawling toward his child's lifeless form. With a snap of her fingers, Sloth offers him a last-ditch solution. He is suddenly holding a glowing, magical lantern, looking up in confusion. It is an azure lantern that absorbs souls and is not a street lamp, thanks for the tip. She lays out the terrible choice: use his soul to save the baby, but it'll lose all memories. This price is his very essence, so she warns him to think it through carefully. He sits with his child, holding the lantern, facing an impossible decision. A single tear rolls down his face, showing he has made his tragic choice. This lantern then floats into the air, its blue light filling the darkness. His soul takes the form of a mother, cradling the baby to tell one last story. It is a tale about a little girl who cried all the time, clutching the very same lantern. One day, the girl got a doll, and the two became inseparable best friends. This doll was her confidant, a source of comfort when she had no one else. And because of that friend, the little crybaby finally stopped crying and grew up. This soul's story concludes, and the little girl's eyes finally find their light. Now a real child, she sits alone in the rubble, letting out a small cry. She stands up, completely lost and asking where she is, her memories totally gone. Her innocent eyes take in the strange new world around her for the first time. And then she just breaks into a massive happy grin, talk about a mood swing. A tiny chibi version of her sits before a giant monument, marking the end of her tale. Meanwhile, Lu Yao wakes up in a bed, surrounded by glowing blue data particles. He sits up in what looks like a hospital room, totally disoriented by the sudden shift. A quick flashback shows his demon form hearing the true completion prompt after the big boom. This system confirms it: dungeon cleared, hidden mission done, perfect score, payday is coming. But a sudden warning flashes, abnormal data detected, and the system starts a forced logout. Lu Yao is furious, complaining they are kicking him out before he can even check his loot, the nerve. His gamer rage is cut short by a loud banging sound coming from his room's door. It is not just a knock, something is trying to smash its way through with some serious force. He turns, wondering who is making such a racket in a hospital of all places. Oh, it is just a couple of horrifying, multi-limbed monsters breaking down his door, no big deal. Our boy just calmly wonders if he is having another illusion, completely unfazed by the sight. He figures his meds have not worn off yet, which would explain the nightmare fuel in his doorway. Deciding to just deal with the hallucination like usual, he sits and waits for it to pass. Until a monster's tongue whips at his face and he realizes this might be very, very real. Lu Yao snaps into action, narrowly dodging a fleshy whip that draws first blood. Feeling the cut on his face, he realizes with dawning horror that this monster is very, very real. But then the monsters are gone, replaced by two nurses standing in the doorway asking if he is all right. He stays crouched on the floor, trying to make sense of the sudden and jarring shift in reality. This nurses just whisper about him having another episode, which is not reassuring at all. One of them even reaches out a hand, offering to help him up with a concerned look. And of course, that helping hand belongs to the same nightmare fuel monsters from before. Deciding he is done playing games, Lu Yao prepares to fight back, hallucination or not. This creatures immediately lunge at him, a disgusting flurry of limbs and tongues. With a nimble leap, he vaults clean over them, showing off some serious pajama-clad parkour skills. Our boy makes a mad dash down a terrifyingly red hospital corridor, trying to escape. Meanwhile, in a much calmer, bluer version of the hallway, two actual nurses call for security. He ducks behind a corner for a moment, trying to get his bearings in this absolute hellscape. Peeking out, he sees the path ahead is blocked by a writhing mass of giant tentacles. Great. Before he can even process that, a tentacle brutally impales him right through the gut. Stumbling from the impact, he has now got a very large, very unwanted piercing. As he collapses, the searing pain confirms this is no dream, forcing his hand. He pulls up his system inventory, about to summon an item called the Tear of the Evil. Suddenly, the world is blue again, and a male orderly is reporting that he has found the patient. This orderly reports that Lu Yao just tripped, completely unaware our boy was just fighting for his life against Thulhu's cousin. This orderly calmly asks Lu Yao to return to the treatment room, completely missing the about-to-snap vibe. With glowing red eyes, Lu Yao just bolts down the hall, leaving the poor guy shouting behind him. He then makes a grand exit by launching himself straight through a plate glass window, so much for a quiet stay. We cut to a totally different scene where three kids ask their brother Lee why he is leaving again. This guy, radiating pure himbo energy, promises he has found a way to strike it rich and will be back soon. He tells the children to behave themselves while he is gone, kneeling down for a heartfelt goodbye. But one of the kids suddenly points out a strange person lurking in the alley, and it is Lu Yao, looking like a wreck in his hospital pajamas after his daring escape. This kids innocently ask if he is sick and suggest he go to a hospital. Oh, the irony is painful. Lu Yao's only response is a terrifying demonic grin as his mind fixates on one simple thought: kill. Instantly sensing the danger, Brother Lee screams for everyone to watch out, his face pale with shock. Our boy lunges forward, summoning a massive, glowing scythe from that Tear of the Evil item. Brother Lee manages to shove the kids back with a gust of wind, revealing he is not just some random guy. He pulls out a scroll while holding the children, telling them it is time to get out of there. It is a teleportation scroll whose fine print basically screams, "Stay away from me." Real confidence booster that. As the kids are zapped to safety, they cry out for him, worried about what is going to happen. He just gives them a classic cocky thumbs up, assuring them he is strong enough to handle this. Lu Yao, however, is now radiating pure final boss energy, looking absolutely monstrous with his new weapon. Brother Lee's confident facade immediately shatters as he realizes this is, in fact, very bad, and with a massive swing, the pajama-clad demon brings his scythe down on the totally outmatched protector. Brother Lee tries a bold new strategy, begging for his life by calling the demon boy father. His inner voice, however, has a much simpler, more effective plan: run. For a second, Lu Yao fights through the haze, warning the guy that he is losing control. Taking the hint, Lee screams for the kids hiding nearby to get the hell out of there. But that moment of clarity is gone, replaced by pure murderous intent in those glowing red eyes. With no one left to hold him back, Lu Yao unleashes a devastating swing of his scythe. All Brother Lee can do is scream as the attack comes crashing down on him, and the kids watch in horror, crying out his name. This impact creates a massive shockwave, seemingly wiping him off the map, except he is suddenly floating in a sea of light, completely unharmed. Looking up, he tries to process who or what just saved his life. As a horned, demonic silhouette materializes out of the glow. It is a new demon lady, and she is super impressed with Lu Yao's willpower. Her giant hand effortlessly blocks the scythe, confirming he is the one she had her eye on. Turns out she is the one who sent him the demon descent power-up in the first place. Now she is casting her own spell, a 7 deadly sins requiem, right at him. Instead of an explosion, gentle white particles begin to fall from the sky like snow. This kid, still hiding, wonder what this strange snow is. But it is making them incredibly sleepy, a magical lullaby in the middle of a crisis. And just like that, they are all knocked out cold, safely removed from the battlefield. Lu Yao collapses to his knees, wondering if this entire bloody rampage was all part of Sloth's plan. This new demon lady appears, apologizing that she did not exactly mean to set him up like this. But she is also incredibly impressed he managed to unlock the true power of his evil source item. With a mysterious look, she says she will be waiting for him to wake up, because he owes her a full explanation for that little power surge. She gives a sly smile, confirming she fully expects a detailed report later. With Lu Yao now passed out cold on the pavement, she decides it is time to handle the cleanup. A massive magical barrier envelops the area as she prepares to deal with some meddlesome humans. Meanwhile, Brother Lee finds the kids, who are just peacefully sleeping thanks to her magic. He is trying to process what just happened, realizing a high-ranking demoness just crashed the party. And this giant glowing magic circle covering the sky is kind of a dead giveaway. His genius conclusion is that this is not the real world at all, a classic case of denial via nose-picking. Suddenly, a mysterious man in a very dramatic coat tells him to move aside. This newcomer just walks right past him, completely ignoring the guy having an existential crisis. Brother Lee is totally freaked out, wondering how someone just appeared behind him without a sound. This man bows respectfully to the demoness, addressing her as Grand Duke Sloth. Wait, what? Sloth is completely unimpressed, calling his Night Watchers and their ceiling formation totally boring and predictable. He apologetically reminds her that she is not supposed to enter the human realm without permission. Her response is a terrifying grin, basically daring him to try and enforce that rule. This Night Watcher just laughs nervously, admitting their puny ceiling formation would not work on her anyway. This Night Watcher leader boasts they are confident they can handle Sloth if she truly invades. From a rooftop, his subordinate agrees they can gravely injure her again even if they die trying. Sloth just sighs, wondering why all night watchers are such self-destructive drama queens. But the leader clarifies he is not here to fight her. He is here for the unconscious kid on the ground. He dismisses Lu Yao as just some unawakened transmigrator, basically a nobody worth ignoring. Calling him a weakling who can barely use his items, he even compares him to Brother Lee nearby. This, of course, is hilarious to Sloth, who cannot believe they made such a massive oversight. This night watcher seems confused by her reaction, looking between her and the passed-out Lu Yao. So he places a hand on Lu Yao's forehead to check for himself, a green light glowing from his fingers. And his face immediately contorts in shock as he realizes exactly what he is sensing. Suddenly panicked, he screams at his team to abort the ceiling formation and get down there now. His subordinate on the roof immediately teleports away, abandoning his post in a flash of light. And just like that, the massive magical barrier over the city completely dissipates. His team gathers, shocked to find a living source of evil that is still fresh and twitching. One of them asks their leader what in the world is going on with this guy. Sloth casually explains he triggered a fierce level trial and is suffering from the power's backlash. This night watchers are absolutely floored by this news. Fierce level is apparently a very big deal. Their leader turns to Sloth, desperately asking if she is telling the truth about the kid's power. She offers to just take Lu Yao off their hands if they do not believe her, promising to leave peacefully. In response, the night watchers form a dramatic human shield, declaring he is human and she cannot have him. Sloth just looks bored by their whole human shield routine, completely unimpressed by the drama. This leader then threatens to blow himself up if she takes the kid, a totally stable and not at all insane bargaining chip. With a smug grin, she basically asks if they are even strong enough to protect him, calling their bluff hard. He insists they know the stakes of an awakened evil source, trying to sound tough while kneeling over our boy. An older night watcher steps up, formally addressing her as Grand Duke Sloth while removing his hood. This guy declares they will protect Lu Yao at all costs, because a living evil source is apparently a huge deal for humanity. Surprisingly, Sloth agrees to leave him in their care for now, floating in a swirl of blue magic. But she has got one last, friendly reminder for them as they hover over the still unconscious Lu Yao. With a wink, she warns them the public beta is starting soon, which sounds less like a game and more like an apocalypse. This old guy absolutely panics, realizing humanity is nowhere near ready for the fierce level trial she is talking about. He looks up in despair, calling out a name as the full weight of this terrible news hits him. Sloth just twists the knife, reminding him the Night Watcher's strongest protectors are mostly gone now. She then asks what is the point of delaying the inevitable if their best defenders have already fallen. Completely defeated, the old Watcher just respectfully asks her to please get the hell out of their realm. And she agrees, floating away as the Night Watchers think they have finally gotten rid of her. Except she immediately swoops back down to Lu Yao for one last, very personal goodbye. A galaxy of light pours from her hand into his head, giving him some kind of parting gift. This old man freaks out, demanding to know what she is doing to their prized possession. She casually explains it is just a little buff to protect his mind, then asks if he's got a problem with it. And of course they do not, immediately bowing and telling her to please by all means carry on spine optional. With a final flash of light, the Grand Duke Sloth makes her dramatic exit. One of the Night Watchers immediately asks if buffs require kissing, earning a swift shut up from his elder peak professionalism guys. Hiding nearby, Brother Lee has just relieved his temporary dad seems to be fine after all. He laments that his reliable backer nearly murdered him, forcing a complete reevaluation of his life choices. Still, looking at the tormented Lu Yao, he gets the feeling the kid was not really in control. As he is pondering this, a voice suddenly calls out to him from the shadows. It is one of the cloaked Night Watchers who introduces himself as Yixuan while Brother Lee has a full-blown panic attack. This guy gives him a creepy sales pitch, offering power for a small price since he is also a transmigrator. Brother Lee's response is to shrink into a terrified chibai begging to be ignored. He has had enough adventure for one night. But Yixuan grabs him, warning that with the public beta starting, he is way too weak to survive on his own. This recruitment ends with him literally dragging the screaming himbo away while the kids are still passed out. Meanwhile, in a quiet apartment building somewhere else in the city, we see a corkboard covered in crossed-out one-piece wanted posters. Someone's a dedicated fan. A woman with pinkish-purple hair is chilling in her chair, looking pretty bored with her evening. Turns out she is annoyed because some guy is completely ignoring her messages. That guy is Lu Yao, and her texts have escalated to "maybe I will just kill you and sell your gear," a totally reasonable response. Suddenly, her phone starts ringing, but it is not from our boy. She answers, clearly surprised by who is on the other end of the line. It is someone chewing her out for disrespecting her senior uncle, and she looks thoroughly unimpressed. She fires back, wondering why the Night Watchers even still exist before threatening to hang up on him. This caller offers an urgent mission to kill someone, but the pink-haired woman is literally writing him off no time. But then he mentions the target is Lu Yao and the reward is very, very generous. And just like that, she is a model of filial piety, deciding it is her duty to help. Funny how money does that. We cut to a young Lu Yao sleeping peacefully in an orphanage bed, which is a massive tone shift. Waking up, he is completely disoriented as a mysterious figure asks what happened. This doctor introduces himself, immediately trying to probe the kid's memories about the incident. All he can do is shake his head, completely blanking on what went down. This doctor gives him a totally not creepy smile, assuring him everything is fine. As soon as he is out the door, he heads down a sterile hall to report his findings. His report confirms a memory wipe foiled their interrogation, but they will keep tabs on the evil source. We are suddenly plunged into Lu Yao's mind, which is apparently a full-on war between angels and demons. Down below, armies of light and darkness are locked in a desperate battle, refusing to give an inch. Two angelic champions drive their swords into a throne, trying to assassinate a demon god. Their attack lands in a massive flash, a clash of holy power against a dark throne. Except the demon lord just stands up, totally unfazed, introducing himself as the source of all evil. Reaching out, this entity monologues about his place in the grand cosmic scheme. His grand declaration is that he is the ultimate judge of everything, the qualifier and the arbiter. But a voice cuts through the vision, screaming for Lu Yao to wake up as a pillar of light descends. We see Lu Yao's hand, clad in his pajama sleeve, reaching out from the darkness. He finds himself standing barefoot in his PJs on a rock, wondering where the hell he is. Inside his mind, Lu Yao is witnessing a massive, ancient demon sealing ritual. 6 powerful mages are activating the array to seal some kind of demon lord. He realizes this is a memory from a previous evil source user and wonders if Sloth is involved. A glowing echo of Sloth appears, explaining she left a mental backup to guide him through this mess. Lu Yao's first question, naturally, is what is going on back in the real world, so she pulls up a live feed of that pink-haired assassin Zhou Peng who was hired to kill him. Back in reality, Lu Yao wakes up to find himself chained to a bed, a very aggressive wellness check. Zhou Peng is standing over him, asking the old night watcher if he has gone senile for this whole setup. This old man just sighs, asking if she at least recognizes this particular evil source awakener. She admits she knows Lu Yao but had absolutely no clue he was packing this kind of power. Then she spots a random blonde kid in the corner and asks who the hell he is. This kid is having an internal crisis, trying to decide if he should call her mom to get on her good side. He pops up with a massive grin to introduce himself, but she is not interested in the slightest. In fact, she pulls a gun on Lu Yao, saying the kid's identity is completely irrelevant, and she immediately fires point-blank at our boy's head, so much for a gentle wake-up call. This old night watcher stops the bullet cold, earning a troublesome sigh from the would-be assassin. He calmly informs her that no, she absolutely cannot kill their prized possession. We see the bullet he caught, held casually between his fingers like it is nothing. Meanwhile, the blonde kid is absolutely losing his mind, terrified by this whole situation. Zhou Peng looks furious, demanding to know why she cannot kill him after what happened to her master. This old watcher explains 2 of their strongest lords sacrificed themselves just to seal the last evil source. Another lord was so badly wounded he is still out of commission, all these years later. Zhou Peng cuts him off, demanding to know why he is protecting Lu Yao if he remembers all that. She angrily bites into an apple, blaming the previous awakener for crippling all their leaders. From the corner, the blonde kid timidly asks if he can chime in. Probably a bad idea, buddy. He tries to argue that Lu Yao is not the guy who hurt her, so this is just misplaced revenge. She explains that it does not matter because 90% of evil source awakeners just die anyway. And the remaining 10%, she adds, become mindless killing machines with no self-control. Brother Li flashes back to Lu Yao almost killing him, finally understanding what his dad was becoming. This old man states their official policy: any evil source must be eliminated on sight, no exceptions. It is described as an irreversible curse, the very origin of all evil in their world. This power can manifest in anyone at any time with absolutely zero warning. Those who awaken it are destined to fall into madness, consumed by a monstrous shadow. Or as Zhou Peng puts it, they become true monsters, then asks the blonde kid what he would do. Brother Li is completely stumped, stammering under the pressure of her sudden question. Back in his mindscape, Lu Yao gives his own cold answer: kill the source before it can grow. Sloth's echo seems surprised he is so willing to agree to his own execution. This old watcher's lesson continues, explaining that humans are naturally weaker than beings from other realms. A flashback shows humanity getting absolutely wrecked, proving the fierce level is their natural limit. But the one thing that gave them a fighting chance, he reveals, was the evil source itself. This old watcher's history lesson begins, recalling a mysterious hero who showed up when humanity was getting stomped. This guy was apparently way beyond the fierce level power cap humanity was stuck with. In fact, he single-handedly turned the tide against an entire demon army, a one-man wrecking crew. Zhou Peng is floored, wondering why her master conveniently left this part out of her training. Turns out it was a top secret because that hero's mind got eaten, causing a catastrophe, a classic oops moment. Suddenly, the Night Watcher's whole kill it with fire policy is starting to make a lot more sense to her. She even mocks their usual tactic of just blowing everything up, wondering how they have not leveled a city yet. Her sarcastic jab about them having real fighters back then earns a very professional watch your mouth from the old man. He insists they have to protect Lu Yao. Even if he goes full monster mode, they will just cross that bridge when they get to it. Zhou Peng just tells him to chill out, completely unfazed by the potential apocalypse. From the corner, Brother Li finally speaks up, admitting he is a little lost but has one key piece of info. He confirms he got a front row seat to Lu Yao's berserk state, and it was not pretty. In a flashback, he explains that if Lu Yao had not held back, he'd be a smear on the pavement before Sloth even showed up. So he nervously argues that maybe his dad, Lu Yao, will not actually be consumed by the power. Smooth recovery, buddy. This old watcher is stunned, asking if he is claiming Lu Yao broke free using sheer willpower. Brother Li gives a dead serious yes, confirming the impossible just happened. This old man absolutely refuses to believe it since no evil source user has ever snapped out of it before. With maximum sass, Brother Li suggests he go ask Grand Duke Sloth if he needs a second opinion. Convinced or not, the watcher decides he needs to wake Lu Yao up immediately, pulling out a glowing ring. He then tosses the shiny thing to a very confused Brother Lee, telling him to hold on to it. This old watcher presents a glowing golden talisman to a very confused Brother Lee. It is a substitute charm, a get-out-of-death-free card for one trial, complete with a hilarious "I quit" note. Brother Lee's reaction is pure slack-jawed. "Aw, this thing is incredible." This watcher's plan is to strengthen Liu Yao's mind to fight the evil source's backlash. To do that, he needs Brother Lee to enter a fierce-level trial with him to lower the difficulty, a terrifying prospect. He offers the charm as a bribe, promising it is his if he agrees to be Liu Yao's support buddy. With the deal basically forced, the watcher announces the whole squad is about to enter the trial together. Brother Lee nervously asks if the pink-haired assassin will at least protect him in there, getting a very non-committal. He then asks if he can just run away if things get too hairy, earning another strained from the old man. Having had enough of the questions, the watcher just smacks him upside the head. He tells him to quit being a coward since he is loaded with gear, while Brother Lee whines about his first fierce-level experience. A system alert gives him a 10-second countdown, and he is already complaining that Zhou Peng gave him zero loot. He wonders if she is the selfless hero type, while she is just chilling on her phone, completely ignoring him. Suddenly, a notification pops up on her screen. A 1 million yuan payment just hit her account. This old man confirms it is her fee for this little babysitting gig, and she coolly accepts. Brother Lee's face absolutely breaks as he realizes what is happening. He starts screaming about the unfair pay gap as they all begin to teleport away. Back in the room, the old watcher is left with another, chubbier night watcher. This new guy just laughs, commenting on the vibrant, chaotic energy of youth. He then asks the old watcher if he really values Brother Lee that much, getting a thoughtful hum in response. This chubbier watcher calls out the old man for giving Brother Lee the good stuff he was not even allowed to see. His justification is that at least Zhou Peng is still around to carry on her master's legacy. Then he gets all philosophical, saying it would be a tragedy to die without an heir, what a drama queen. But the old watcher argues that Brother Lee is weak and they are basically out of time to train him. He then reveals the real reason for the favoritism. The kid's power mechanism is just like his. With a completely trustworthy grin, the other guy says that is exactly why he is excited to see him grow. We jump to the trial system where our crew is entering a strong-level instance with a full wipe death penalty. Their grand mission in the prison of catastrophe is, and I quote, to pet the cat. Brother Lee is understandably very confused by this incredibly vague and ominous objective, and then he sees the cat, a massive, terrifying shadow lion that wants to use him as a chew toy. This beast immediately lunges as our boy screams for help, so much for a gentle start to the trial. He scrambles backward in pure terror, trapped inside some kind of high-tech enclosure. Totally panicking, he stumbles against a wall, realizing he is in way over his head. His hand just happens to land on a nearby control panel in a moment of desperation. A system window identifies the beast as a spirit cat with a moderate danger level, which feels like a lie. This containment rules state that handlers must remain calm, a skill Brother Lee currently does not possess. It also helpfully notes the cat attacks when it senses fear, so he is basically ringing the dinner bell. He starts screaming for his dad and the heroine, his brave facade completely shattered. Zhou Peng finally arrives, shotgun in hand, remarking that a strong monster is a proper welcome to the trial. At that moment, a new alert pops up for an assassin-class piranha monster, because one nightmare was not enough. Zhou Peng looks up, completely stunned by the sheer absurdity of the new monster alert, because a massive flying piranha shark hybrid is now lunging straight for her. Meanwhile, Liu Yao wakes up somewhere else entirely, staring at a high-tech containment door. A nearby screen helpfully labels him Containment Object 1 with an unmeasurable evil value, which is never a good sign. He pops up on their security feed, waving and asking if anyone's home, super casual for a doomsday threat. Then he flashes this deeply unsettling grin, inviting his unseen jailers for a little chat. Back in the room, he is totally alone except for a floating camera, wondering where the welcome party is. This guy just smirks, figuring they are too scared to show up right before a new quest pops up, Escape the Evil Association. That name rings a bell and he tries to remember where he has heard it before. He recalls the Yellow Springs manager mentioning them with absolute dread, so these guys are a big deal. Suddenly, a system alert interrupts his train of thought to finally pay out his overdue rewards from the last trial. And it is a total jackpot, insane reward multipliers, points, chests, and a level up for all his trouble. His evil source even gets an upgrade, and he earns the title Auspicious Omen for causing 2 businesses to shut down. The system literally laughs. Our boy gets adorably mad, demanding the game apologize for its cheeky haha at the end. But with rewards this good, he decides to let it slide and check out his new goodies instead. His stat sheet shows he is basically a tanky wizard with the attack power of a wet noodle. After confirming he is now much harder to kill, he moves on to his upgraded main ability. His evil source now lets him summon minions as the evil monarch, though the system taunts him about whether he is worthy. Liu Yao is not amused by the system's constant backtalk. The sass is getting personal. Finally, his new title, Auspicious Omen, gives attackers a chance to get cursed with a bizarre remark about rabbits and household peace. Meanwhile, Liu Yao's welcome party consists of 2 guards in sleek armor and very unfriendly-looking guns. They address him as Object 1, politely requesting he cooperate with their experiment. With a devilish grin, Liu Yao asks what kind of fun science project they have planned for him. His charming inquiry earns him a hard shove and a sharp shut up. From the guard, totally unbothered, our boy just asks for a little more tenderness. He is clearly enjoying this. This guard just scoffs, wondering how a monster like him could possibly be considered delicate. His partner immediately shuts him down, reminding him not to talk to the containment object. So the two guards escort their prized specimen down a long, sterile hallway. Along the way, Lu Yao glances through a transparent wall, checking out the other inmates. He gets a horrifying glimpse of another experiment failing spectacularly, with a test subject screaming for his life. Behind the glass, two scientists coldly discuss increasing the dosage of decay agents on people. A nearby report mentions another project that killed 4 researchers and barely got more evil, just another Tuesday. After seeing all that, Lu Yao's smirk returns as he finally understands how this place operates. Suddenly, an alarm blares through the facility, announcing another containment object has gone berserk. This alert specifically names Object 3 Tender Lips, and Lu Yao's face is priceless. As other guards scramble, he casually strolls on, calling his escort Little Darling amidst the chaos. They finally reach his designated cell, and the guards roughly tell him to get inside. But then one of them leans in, secretly telling him to press a button once the door closes. Lu Yao offers a small, genuine smile, quietly thanking the unexpected ally. His hand closes around a small device ready to kick off his escape plan. This device he was given is a remote bomb with a charming little note calling it a must-have for home. Meanwhile, the guards are splitting up. One literally named Judas is off to protect a doctor while the captain supports Tender Lips. Judas snaps a crisp salute, ready to follow orders like a good little soldier. His captain calls him his most trusted subordinate, which is just asking for trouble with a name like that. And Judas promises he is the most reliable person around with a smile that screams, "I am absolutely going to betray you." Back in the cell, the heavy door slides shut, leaving Lu Yao completely alone with a floating camera. Our boy actually thinks that guard was his 4th teammate, even calling him reliable, oh sweet summer child. An announcement then declares the experiment on Containment Object 1 is about to begin. This experiment turns out to be a giant, disgusting centipede thing in a box. Lu Yao just stares at it, completely unbothered, and asks for an explanation for this weirdness. A blue-haired hologram lady pops in, introducing herself as Dr. Mimir, the project lead. She introduces his new roommate, a brain tapeworm that, you guessed it, parasitizes brains. Apparently it is a picky eater that only targets intelligent minds, calling everyone else's head garbage. Dr. Mimir's whole plan is to mass-produce evil monsters, and Lu Yao is their star guinea pig. She then thanks him on behalf of the Evil Association because subtlety is for losers. With her evil monologue complete, she turns to leave him to his fate. Just then, Judas reports back to her mission accomplished. She asks him for an update on Object 3, aka the rampaging Tender Lips. Judas explains the containment team totally miscalculated its mental strength, so it woke up early. Unfazed, Dr. Mimir tells him to handle security and leaves to start another experiment, Do Not Disturb. Back with Dr. Mimir, the guard Judas sneaks up behind her with a knife drawn. She calmly asks him one more question, and he politely tells her to go right ahead. But then he has got the blade to her throat as she asks how the real asterisk Judas actually died. Suddenly, a whole squad of guards surrounds the imposter, demanding he raise his hands. He just throws his arms up with a smug grin, theatrically asking how she ever figured it out. Dr. Mimir explains her security protocol. Everyone has a unique code phrase, and he completely flubbed his. Now it is his turn to ask a question, wanting to know what else she did to the rampaging Tender Lips. This imposter just smirks, seemingly impressed that she is caught onto his little sabotage plot. At that exact moment, a massive explosion rocks the facility. That is Lu Yao's bomb going off. A report confirms Object 1 has breached containment, and Mimir looks mildly inconvenienced at best. This fake Judas points a finger up, basically taking credit for the chaos he helped unleash. Dr. Mimir, completely unfazed by the betrayal and explosion, just coolly asks for his name. He strikes a ridiculous pose, introducing himself as Ningfeng and telling her to call him sweetheart, the sheer nerve. His little performance is immediately cut short when the other guards just unload on him. And just like that, Ningfeng is down for the count, riddled with bullets on the floor. This guards stand over the body as an order comes in to compensate the real Judas's family. Case closed. One of the remaining soldiers asks Dr. Mimir if they should go after the escaped Lu Yao. With a sinister grin, she says no, it is time for the real asterisk experiment, ordering all monsters to be released. Her loyal guards are completely baffled by this sudden, terrifying change of plans. She reveals her endgame. Lu Yao is from another world, and by observing him, they will unlock the secrets of their own. One of the guards raises a valid point. Releasing the monsters will kill their own people. Dr. Mimir just gives him a dead-eyed stare and asks him to recite the company motto. With a hand over his heart, the soldier proudly declares he is a firefly, which is not creepy at all, and the whole squad chimes in with the finale. Truth is eternal, definitely a cult. We then get a system flashback explaining Ningfeng's secret role as the team's imposter. His special rules mean death just sends him to spectator mode, though he still fails if the team wipes. Now in his ghostly form, the top 10 ranked player admits he got a little careless back there. Turns out he was trying to solo Dr. Mimir but completely underestimated her intelligence. From his new spectator hub, he can still buff his teammates and is now watching their every move. His first review is of Brother Lei, who he immediately writes off as a total weakling. Next up is Zhou Peng, who gets a better score, though he notes she is at a disadvantage. Finally, his gaze falls upon the unlucky soul who got stuck playing the containment object. Ningfeng leans in, genuinely curious to see how Lu Yao is handling the pressure, and he is absolutely baffled to see our boy just playing with the brain bug instead of escaping. Lu Yao holds up the centipede with a truly unhinged grin, calling himself a piece of shit. This sight completely short-circuits Ningfeng, whose spectator avatar devolves into a confused Chibai. Our boy then launches into a bizarre and disgusting monologue as his suggestion skill activates. He is now happily shaking the brainworm, taunting it for not being able to stand him. Ningfeng is having a full-blown meltdown, clutching his head and questioning Lu Yao's sanity. But Lu Yao just holds up his new pet, promising they are going to be together for a very long time. And with a look of pure insanity, Lu Yao prepares to eat the brain worm like a piece of candy. That poor little parasite lets out a terrified squeak as it goes right down the hatch. We get a horrifying silhouette of the bug's journey down his throat. Bon appetit. Lu Yao just gulps the whole thing down, not a single regret in sight. Watching from the sidelines, Ningfeng is having a complete and total meltdown. This guy is absolutely losing it, wondering why he is stuck with a lunatic instead of a normal teammate. His system announces the successful parasitization, granting him tentacles and a full stat boost. Lu Yao's eyes flare with a dangerous red glow as the new power takes hold, and a massive bloody tentacle erupts from his back. That is one way to get an upgrade. A system alert declares that he is now fully controlled by the brain tapeworm's will. Except the tapeworm finds him so utterly repulsive that it refuses to take control. He is too evil for the evil bug. One of the researchers monitoring the experiment is just screaming at the screen in disbelief. With the containment door wide open, guards scramble to stop him from escaping the facility. Our boy just stands there, tentacles writhing, with a smirk that says, "Come and get me." Then he launches himself forward, grinning like a maniac ready for some fun. This guards immediately open fire, trying desperately to block his path to freedom. Using his new tentacles, he effortlessly dodges their shots by crawling along the wall. He zips right past them, clinging to the ceiling like some kind of nightmare spider. His tentacles lash out, grabbing the guards and tossing them around like ragdolls. Lu Yao lands perfectly, leaving a trail of chaos and unconscious soldiers in his wake. This first guard to confront him gets a face full of wall, courtesy of Lu Yao's brand new tentacles. Meanwhile, a researcher in the control room is panicking, asking Dr. Mimir what they should do. But Dr. Mimir is completely unfazed, coldly ordering her team to record the data for science, of course. A report on her screen notes his evil value is so high it is actually breaking their predictive models. And our boy is just admiring his new look, casually remarking that he finally has some self-preservation power. He then immediately asks if someone can please take the gross tentacles off him. The audacity. Turns out he is negotiating with the parasite, threatening to keep it trapped if it does not behave. At that moment, something rumbles from within, signaling a new challenger has entered the arena. Elsewhere in the facility, a silver-haired fighter is ambushed by a massive, flying piranha monster. Without missing a beat, she leaps directly onto its face, ready for a fight. She lands perfectly on its back, striking a pose with her shotgun, a total action hero moment. With a sigh, she calls the monster a hassle and prepares to waste resources putting it down. But then she spots a note on its back with a password. Ningfeng is the coolest, subtlety is not his strong suit. She repeats the ridiculous phrase with an expression that just screams, "I am so done with this." Incredibly, a ceiling projector activates, confirming the password was accepted. This device projects a massive hologram of Earth, a little gift from our ghostly teammate Ningfeng. Utterly unimpressed, the fighter just calls him shameless for the theatrical assist, and it works perfectly as the giant fish monster is completely mesmerized by the shiny planet. Using the distraction, she gracefully leaps away from the monster and towards the hologram. This creature takes the bait, lunging at the projected Earth and ignoring her completely. This giant fish monster takes the bait, smashing headfirst right through a brick wall. Ningfeng's system then scolds Zhou Peng for not saying the password with enough reverence, peak pettiness. At that moment, a tiny creature zips past, slicing the projector's support cable clean off. She snags the falling equipment as the system thanks her for the donation and tells her to stop commenting. Her first thought is not about survival, but about how much she could probably sell this thing for. Back in spectator mode, Ningfeng is having a fit that someone just walked off with his prized projector. Still, he has to admit Zhou Peng seems competent, so he decides not to worry about her. His focus then shifts to the team's resident weakling, who is cornered by a massive beast. Ningfeng's ghost pops up to offer support, and the guy absolutely screams for it. A little capsule then drops from the ceiling, a care package from their spectral teammate. This giant wolf thing immediately spots the shiny new toy bouncing on the floor. It chomps down on the capsule, which promptly explodes in a massive flash of electricity. Turns out it was a paralysis grenade, good for a 10-second stun on weaker monsters, and it works perfectly, leaving the beast frozen in place and crackling with energy. Ningfeng's system gives the guy 10 seconds to finish the job, all while complaining about his uselessness. With the monster stunned, the teammate finally gets into a fighting stance, ready to strike. He whips out a tiny little knife, looking way more confident than he has any right to be. This paralyzed beast can only glare down at him, waiting for the stun to wear off. Then we cut to a completely random scene of a stray kitten being shooed away from a corner, and someone immediately throws rocks at it. What is even happening in this place? We get a flashback to some street thugs tormenting a poor little kitten, real classy guys. But this is no ordinary cat, as its eyes flare up with a menacing blue glow. Turns out it is Containment Object 57, and it has a serious grudge against humanity for obvious reasons. This log notes it has huge potential, but Mimir cut its funding for having a low evil value. Guess she missed this part. Back with our weakling teammate, the stun on the giant wolf is wearing off. He lets out a sigh of relief, thinking the fight is finally over and he is safe. And then there's just a sudden splash of blood. It drips down, forming a small puddle on the sterile facility floor. This wolf monster looks down, seemingly confused about what just happened. It was the teammate's blood, as he reveals the monster's eyes reminded him of a cat he once knew. So his genius plan is to shove his bleeding hand right into the beast's mouth. Bold strategy caught. He is literally feeding it his own life force, begging it to stop before he dies. This creature seems to comply, licking up the blood from the floor instead. A system alert declares the spirit cat has been pacified and the exit gate opens. Wait, the cat asterisk. With the task done, he gets ready to make a break for it, leaving the giant beast behind. But a sudden roar from behind makes him freeze in his tracks. This wolf is back on its feet, and the guy is just so done with this whole situation. In a brilliant flash of light, the massive monster begins to transform. It shrinks all the way back down into the little black cat now perched on his shoulder. He asks if it wants to come with him, and just like that, he's got a new travel buddy. Brother Lee strolls off with his new cat, casually planning some family introductions. This wholesome moment is immediately interrupted by guards opening fire down the hall. Their target is a man who looks suspiciously like Colonel Sanders, laughing as bullets bounce off him. He then lunges forward in a terrifying blur, aiming right for the nearest soldier. Grabbing the guard, he politely asks for $50 because it is Thursday, perfectly normal request. When that does not work, he makes a counteroffer of 50 eyeballs instead. This soldier struggles to break free, but this old man has a grip of steel. And then a hand goes straight through the guard's head, so much for that negotiation. Holding up his first 2 trophies, he calmly notes he is still 48 short of his quota. This rest of the squad wisely decides it is time for a tactical retreat. One guard desperately tries to seal a blast door to contain the rampaging grandpa. His terrified buddy is just on the floor, wondering what unkillable thing they just fought. It is Containment Object 9, the mad old man, and they realize with horror it is Thursday. A system file confirms his trigger is knowing the date, and his evil value is off the charts. His full profile explains he goes berserk over the number 4 and demands 50 objects or he just takes them. Another guard panics, realizing only a director could have opened this top-secret zone, which leads his traumatized colleague to a very simple, accurate conclusion: they are totally screwed. This now open containment door looms in the background, confirming their worst fears. One soldier completely gives up, convinced the evil association has sacrificed them all, but his partner tries to rally the troops, telling them to get up and fight back. This last conscious guard, Captain Laju, steps up with a look of pure resolve. His plan is simple: he will be the bait for Object 9 so his squad can run for it. This squad immediately recognizes his syringe holds a decay potion, screaming that he is about to die. But he just jabs it into his neck, telling them to stop whining and get to safety. With the potion taking effect, he swipes a card to unlock the next containment zone. He declares it is his duty as captain to walk ahead of them into certain doom. Meanwhile, in another hallway, Liu Yao strolls through a massacre of guards and scientists. One of the guards has a donut hole punched clean through his torso, which is not ideal. Our boy casually notes that a few monsters must have been released, like it is a minor inconvenience, and he seems less concerned and more curious about the whole situation. He spots a lone surviving researcher hunched over and trying to be invisible, who then starts giggling nervously, which is never a good sign in these situations. Liu Yao's tentacles flare as he declares his favorite meal is half-dead prey. This researcher immediately starts begging for his life, realizing he is on the menu. But Liu Yao just throws his logic back at him: you do not want to die, I do not want to starve. In a last-ditch effort, the guy reveals he is the research director and can get him out. Liu Yao gets right in his face, smugly noting he should have shared that info earlier. With a tentacle wrapped around his neck, he demands to know everything about the evil association. This director spills the beans. It is a huge organization with branches basically everywhere, and this very facility is one of those branches, run by none other than Dr. Mimir herself. This director's story begins with a werewolf monster, a key subject in his research on evil value. His team had been capturing various creatures to study the link between their evilness and their growth. But they quickly realized they needed much stronger samples to get any meaningful data. For science, you know. An opportunity finally arose when 2 fierce-tier monsters had a throwdown at a local venue. That battle left one of the top-tier creatures severely injured and conveniently available for capture. So at his suggestion, they nabbed the specimen and Dr. Mimir made him the project leader. Everything was going perfectly until yesterday, when his entire project got completely derailed. Dr. Mimir suddenly announced she'd found a new subject with an even higher evil value and stole his funding. When he tried to object, she just had security escort him away, so much for professional courtesy. He is now ranting to Liu Yao that she is just jealous, in total denial that a better specimen could exist. Liu Yao just smirks, probably because he knows exactly who that new high-value subject is. This director then offers a deal. He will show Liu Yao a secret exit for an escort to his prized monster, Tenderlip. When asked if he can control it, the guy smugly claims he designed its containment system himself. With a predatory grin, our boy agrees to the little field trip. This should be fun. They arrive at a containment door only to find their path blocked by a guard who looks unwell. Turns out some lunatic injected himself with a decay potion and is now rampaging in the hallway. This director then asks if the mutated guard is one of Liu Yao's people, which is just adorable. Liu Yao scoffs that the guy sacrificed himself for his squad and is barely even human anymore. Right on cue, the mutated Captain Laju lets out a feral roar, ready for a fight, and he immediately starts punching the containment glass, trying to get at his 2 new visitors. Liu Yao and the director watch the mutated Captain Laju start cracking the containment glass. Our boy immediately calls out the director, reminding him this is the guy who just sacrificed himself for his team. This director just scoffs that guards are worthless and that he even damaged company property. What a guy. He then gets all buddy-buddy, asking Lu Yao if he can pretty please handle this little problem. With a grin that promises pain, Lu Yao tells him to go ahead and open the door. Laju is barely coherent, just growling about how dangerous the containment breach is. The second the door opens, he lunges forward, sending the director diving for cover. But Lu Yao just zips up to the ceiling with his tentacles, easily dodging the attack from above. This mutated guard lands, looking around completely baffled as to where his target vanished. Suddenly, a massive energy blast slams right into the side of his head out of nowhere. A silver-haired woman appears, holding a smoking gun and smugly asking if they need help. Meanwhile, the director is peeking from a corner, deciding he should probably stay away from everyone here. He tries to reassure himself that at least this hallway should be safe from any major threats, only to find Brother Lee and his new cat already hiding there, claiming they're not good at fighting. This cat lets out a little meow, its eyes glowing a very menacing, very familiar shade of red. And the director absolutely loses it, recognizing the cat as Containment Object 57. Back in the fight, the new girl is charging up a fireball spell from a double-barreled shotgun because of course she is. She fires the massive ball of flame right at the still-dazed mutated guard. It connects in a huge explosion, engulfing Laju completely as Lu Yao and the shooter watch. But he just roars through the flames, still very much alive and now extremely angry. This silver-haired shooter is shocked that her massive fireball barely even phased the guy. But she is not one to back down, striking a confident pose like she's got this all figured out. Now it is a three-way standoff between Lu Yao, the new girl, and the mutated Captain Laju. She asks what this thing is and Lu Yao just calls him a vagabond, super helpful dude. Meanwhile, Laju is on all fours, looking less like a captain and more like a rabid animal. Our shooter realizes his defense is off the charts, making their attacks feel like tickles. So she asks Lu Yao for a big hitter and he says he has one, but it is tricky to land. His brilliant idea is to wrap his tentacles around her and just tell her to go for it. And by go for it, he means literally throwing her at the monster like a human cannonball. She is understandably not thrilled about being used as a living projectile. This mutated guard sees his incoming weapon and gets ready to swat her out of the air. Lu Yao just watches from the back as his new ally flies towards certain doom. But she has got moves, twisting midair to land a powerful kick right in Laju's gut. With the monster staggered, she pulls out a glowing energy orb, yelling that it is time. Her follow-up is to shove that glowing ball of death right into his mouth, bon appetit. Before Laju can spit it out, Lu Yao's tentacles shoot out and clamp his jaw shut. They wrap around his entire body, holding him completely still for the grand finale. Laju's eyes start glowing as the orb detonates from the inside, which looks unpleasant. And just like that, the rampaging captain is on his knees, totally incapacitated. This woman asks if that was maybe a little overkill, standing over their defeated opponent. Lu Yao smirks at the silver-haired shooter, calling it payback for when she tried to kill him in real life. She just grins back, realizing he knew exactly who she was this entire time. With his foot on the defeated captain, Lu Yao casually points out that the guy is still alive. And Laju, now surprisingly lucid, weakly asks the traveler if he can have a word. We then flash back to Laju and his squad getting a briefing for an upcoming evil prison trial. Their mission is to babysit 4 new travelers and make sure they do not escape the evil association. These rules are simple. Do not you dare talk about the evil game or you get terminated. Great incentive program. 2 of his men wonder aloud what kind of people these new arrivals will be. Their superior immediately yells at them to stop gossiping and get back to preparing for the trial. But one guard mutters that it is all pointless since none of the travelers ever survive anyway. His buddy then asks the big question, what would they do if someone actually did survive? This whole squad goes quiet, actually considering the impossible for a second. One guard admits he'd want to leave, holding on to Dr. Mimir's promise of eventual freedom. This others start sharing their own dreams, seeing the outside world, confessing to a girl. Their captain, Laju, pulls them into a huddle and promises to do his best to keep them all alive. He even hypes them up with the promise of a long vacation after Dr. Mimir's research succeeds. Back in the present, the dying Laju explains the beatdown somehow restored his sanity, but he has not got long. Lu Yao just gives him a look that says, get on with it, I do not have all day. This captain begs him to spare the other staff, revealing they are just data entities forced to follow orders. But a massive system warning flashes in his face, threatening termination for revealing any more secrets. Laju just laughs in the system's face, roaring that he is a dead man walking and could not care less about their threats. Before he can spill any more secrets, Lu Yao's tentacles shoot out and gag him mid-sentence. His new partner asks what he is doing, and our boy casually says he is looting the body, priorities, you know. With the captain completely restrained, Lu Yao starts giving him a little life lesson. He gets right in Laju's face, explaining that he hates being guilt-tripped and has no no-kill policy. Then he follows up by asking if the captain ever learned the proper way to ask for a favor, which is just cold. Laju just stares back, completely broken and at the mercy of his captor. Now stripped down to his shorts, he kneels and offers up all his gear, begging Lu Yao to take it. Lu Yao gives him a smug little smile, condescendingly telling him he is finally learning. This defeated captain then asks if he will finally agree to his request to save the others, and Lu Yao hits him with a hard no, completely shutting down his last hope. But then he drops a small bottle of medicine on the floor in front of the kneeling guard. Laju picks it up, totally confused about this sudden act of whatever this is. A system card reveals it is universal medicine from the unethical pharmaceutical company, which may have random side effects. What could go wrong? This captain asks why he is being helped, and Lu Yao just tells him to protect his own people if he cares so much. This is not charity though, our boy clarifies it as a trade and he wants to know what Laju's mission is. Laju is completely taken aback by the question, not sure what to say. With a grin, Lu Yao lays out the price, tell him the mission without getting terminated by the system. This captain finally agrees and Lu Yao tells him to pay close attention to his instructions. We then cut to a terrified scientist cowering before a massive werewolf monster. Looks like we found the mission. A blonde guy asks his purple-haired teammate what she ran into and the werewolf from before just calls her a real pervert. This guy is understandably confused, but their new red-eyed leader just tells everyone to get a move on. This new leader then smirks, announcing he has come up with a brand new plan for their trial. We then cut to Colonel Sanders of all people laid out on the floor looking completely defeated, but the colonel gets back up looking surprisingly contemplative for a guy who just got wrecked. He starts dropping some wisdom, saying the martial world is not just about fighting and killing. It is also about human connections, he says as he strolls down a very sterile-looking hallway. This new squad arrives at the containment site for Tender Lips, the monster the director was so proud of. This director explains they only managed to capture her because she was already super weak from her injuries. When asked if she is still a threat, the guy puffs up his chest, calling her his proudest creation. Inside the containment cell, we see a woman sitting calmly on a platform. This is the big bad monster. A closer look reveals she's got stitches on her face and glasses, looking more like a librarian than a beast. She asks a guard kneeling at her feet if it hurts, right as he is, biting her foot apparently. And then she just launches him across the room with a brutal kick, so much for the gentle act. With her eyes glowing orange, she grins and says pain is exactly what he should be feeling. Meanwhile, the director is practically bouncing with joy, bragging that even 2000 cc of decay potion did not make her mutate. But he is also throwing a tantrum because despite her power, she is not qualified for the experiment. This new leader calmly puts a hand on his shoulder, asking how exactly he plans to get her back under control. His brilliant plan involves just pointing, saying her rampage broke the controls and he needs to go reset them. This blonde squadmate completely freaks out, yelling that this is basically just sending them to their deaths. This director puts on his most trustworthy face, promising to help and casually mentioning he is their only way out. Their new leader immediately orders the werewolf girl, Jo Peng, to babysit the director so he does not try anything funny. Meanwhile, the blonde teammate is just standing there wondering what his job is in all this. With a creepy grin, the leader drops a weird line about father and son teamwork, looking right at him. His idea of teamwork is grabbing the terrified blonde guy by the collar, who immediately starts protesting. Over on babysitting duty, Jo Peng keeps her shotgun aimed at the director, who is trying way too hard to look relaxed. This leader just drags his new son along, claiming he is cooperating because he wants to get out of here too. From a distance, they see the contained woman, Tender Lips, waiting for them on a platform. Having fully embraced his new role, the blonde kid asks his dad what the plan is, cat still included. His dad's simple plan involves some red tentacles suddenly wrapping around the blonde guy's body. And by plan, he means yeeting the poor kid through the air like a human missile, screaming all the way. He lands with a spectacular faceplant right at the feet of the contained woman. Dazed and confused, he looks up from the floor, getting a real nice view of her feet. Tender Lips just looks down at the new arrival with a completely unbothered expression. Her attention is quickly stolen by the leader, who strolls up with a weaponized guitar and a casual greeting. Her eyes immediately flash a dangerous red as she recognizes the guy standing before her. Without a second's hesitation, she launches herself forward in a furious attack. But the leader just smirks, activating a skill called the Ultimate Evil Source. Sounds friendly. A magic circle appears as the system finds a target with sufficient affection willing to become his minion, and his ultimate evil power summons the defeated Colonel Sanders, who gets yanked through a portal to join the fight. But instead of the colonel, a warrior woman appears, complaining she was summoned to fight another crazy woman. She turns to the new leader, asking if he is the one responsible for bringing her here. This system explains she is a nightmare butcher, but a light version whose power depends on the summoner. Our new leader is just completely floored by this unexpected development. This was not part of the plan. Spotting Tender Lips, the butcher immediately assumes she is the target and promises to protect her new master. He tries to warn her about their opponent's strength, but she just scoffs, saying nobody's stronger than her. And she immediately gets one-shotted across the room, which is just embarrassing for everyone involved. From a safe distance, the leader casually asks if his brand new minion is even still breathing. This butcher is absolutely fuming, demanding to know what kind of monster she is even up against. He explains their foe is the same level as her original body, which is apparently a huge problem. Tender Lips closes in for the kill, and the butcher can barely hold back the attack with her massive blade. Her eyes widen as she realizes she's completely outmatched in this nerfed summoned form. Getting thrown back again, she blames the leader for being too weak and making asterisk her weak, great teamwork. With his summon getting absolutely bodied, the leader has to jump in and block the next attack himself. His new strategy is to just stall for time, and the butcher reluctantly agrees, still salty about her power level. Meanwhile, the blonde teammate has found the containment unit's controller, a big glowing pedestal. He's being told to just press the giant, obvious red button to fix this whole mess. But instead of following orders, he pulls out a completely different device with a sly look on his face. As someone yells at him to hurry up, he places his little gadget right onto the control panel. With a wicked grin, he reveals he is not helping at all, he is planting a bomb. This blonde teammate whips out a detonator, demanding the director repeat himself. The power dynamic just flipped. A 30-second timer appears as he threatens to blow everything up unless he gets the key to the upper passage. And with a manic grin, he clarifies that his little toy is about to go boom right next to the controls. This director completely loses it, screaming that his precious mechanism is supposedly indestructible. Our new villain smugly asks if he'd like to check the item info on that just to be sure. Utterly baffled, the director can only stammer out a confused huh. A system card reveals it is a quantum bomb that collapses objects because, and I quote, "It is high-tech, best explanation ever." This sends the poor guy into a full-blown panic, wondering how a player even got their hands on that. To add pressure, Jo Peng puts her shotgun to his head, reminding him his precious monster dies with them. Defeated, the director finally realizes this was a coordinated shakedown from the very beginning. Back in the fight, Tenderlips is sent tumbling through the air right towards the butcher. But the leader dives in, intercepting Tenderlips midair before she can flatten his summon. With only 3 seconds left, the director finally cracks and throws them the keycard. This blonde traitor calmly places his hand on the panel, thanking the man for his cooperation. In the aftermath, a gagged Tenderlips is finally restrained, her red eyes still glowing with rage. Their leader now stands over her as she kneels on the ground, completely subdued. He just looks down at his defeated opponent, the fight seemingly over for now. Then he asks if she is okay, which is a weirdly considerate question for this situation. This butcher who just got annihilated pops up with a huge grin, insisting she is totally fine. She explains a mere fatal wound is nothing, and his summoning her proves he is tight with her original self, flawless logic. With her job done, the summoned butcher just waves a cheerful goodbye, announcing her time is up. This new leader just smirks, finding that whole chaotic summoning ordeal pretty amusing. Meanwhile, the director is still cowering on the floor, insisting he has given them everything they wanted. But Jo Peng is not buying it, demanding he explain how the escape keycard actually works. He quickly explains it opens the upper passage via the control terminal, simple enough, right? She dangles the card over his head to confirm, and the poor guy looks like he's about to have a heart attack. This card works perfectly, verifying a level access and activating an emergency escape route. As Jo Peng confirms it is legit, the director starts getting a little too smug, saying of course it is. His face twists into a villainous grin as he promises her a little surprise, which is never a good sign, and right on cue, a hexagonal energy field erupts from the floor, trapping her completely. This system calls it a rescue, detecting a hostage situation and locking her down as she tries to kick free. She is completely stunned by the advanced security, realizing she just walked right into a trap. Now back on his feet, the director gloats about being 2 steps ahead of them the entire time. He then reintroduces himself as the head of an evil association project, addressing the leader as Subject 1. On a nearby monitor, the leader looks completely unfazed, confirming the director knows who he is. This director just cackles, revealing he has been planning this entire confrontation since the moment they met. Suddenly, a massive spectral lion beast roars into existence, looking ready to cause some serious damage. This creature then lunges through the hallway, a blur of motion and pure aggression. But it gets stopped cold by containment fields, with the director taunting his little kitty for being trapped. He then turns his attention back to the leader, monologuing about all the effort he poured into the space. This director continues his villain monologue, bragging about how he personally designed every last detail of this facility. Meanwhile, Jo Peng confirms the energy field trapping her is way too sturdy to break with what she has, but she seems to notice something about the barrier, a detail that gives her pause. His rant gets personal, blaming the leader's very existence for getting his entire precious project shut down by the higher-ups. So he orchestrated this whole mess to pit his creation against the leader just to prove whose subject is better. On cue, the supposedly subdued Tenderlips starts to stir, her eyes glowing with renewed menace. She rises to her feet, ready for round 2, as the director demands to see which of them is the superior project. This blonde kid immediately starts panicking, asking his new dad if he can actually take her on now that she is back up. With a smug look, the leader just casually admits there is no way he can beat her, not exactly a confidence booster. From his control room, the director laments that she is still incomplete, fantasizing about how strong her perfect form would be. He then gives the order for Tenderlips to attack, pointing her right at the leader and his team. This blonde teammate clutches a talisman, seriously considering just running for it against a fierce-level monster. Yet he hesitates, glancing over at his leader, clearly torn about abandoning him now. Throwing caution to the wind, he decides to go all in and fight alongside his new dad. But the leader stops him, clarifying that he only said he could not asterisk beat her, not that he had to asterisk fight her. As the blonde kid looks on confused, the leader's arm starts glowing with a strange purple energy. A system card pops up, revealing he is holding Miss Tenderlips' arm, a rare Calamity-class material. Our boy grins, telling the director he is about to grant his wish to see her in her perfect form. This director is completely stunned, recognizing exactly what that arm is and what it implies. And with a flick of his wrist, the leader yeets the severed limb right back at its original owner. Tenderlips stares in disbelief as her own severed arm comes flying right back at her. This limb slams into her shoulder with a flash of purple energy, reattaching instantly. Her hand immediately transforms into a monstrous claw, glowing with a sinister new power. With the arm reattached, a flicker of her old self seems to return to her eyes. A massive wave of energy then explodes from her body as she reaches her complete form. Elsewhere, facility alarms start blaring as her power levels go completely off the charts. A scientist at a control panel panics, seeing containment is about to fail because her evil level is spiking. Someone calls out to the baldy doc, who snaps back that he is a little busy right now. A purple-haired woman shows him a projection that makes his jaw hit the floor. He is standing before a massive hologram of the Earth, looking completely insignificant. Suddenly, a giant monster maw tries to chomp him as the system announces total containment failure, great timing. His colleague barely escapes as a massive claw smashes through the floor right behind her. After the chaos, the scientist is on the ground, coughing and totally confused. Through the dust and smoke, he sees a lone silhouette approaching him. And of course, it is the newly powered-up Tender Lips standing over him like a final boss. This scientist recognizes her as 3 right as his hand starts to disintegrate from her aura. Coughing up blood, he reveals a fatal wound right through his chest. Looks like she said hello. Detecting a fatal injury on a level personnel, the facility's defense system kicks into high gear. A ring of turrets emerges from the walls, unloading everything they have got on her. But Tender Lips just stands there, unfazed by the barrage and wreathed in an aura of pure destruction. With her power fully unlocked, Tender Lips just floats there, surrounded by the twisted metal of the turrets she just vaporized. From a safe distance, the team is absolutely floored by her fierce class power. The blonde kid is just glad he ran fast. He then asks Jo Peng how she escaped the energy cage, and she is just too embarrassed to admit she got trapped. Meanwhile, the dying director gazes up at his creation with a deeply creepy smile, calling this her perfect form. He starts cackling that he was right all along and his project is the strongest. Great priorities for a guy bleeding out. And his reward for this villain monologue is getting immediately skewered by his own perfect subject. Even with a new hole in his chest, he is still smugly insisting he was right. Talk about dying on a hill. In his final moments, he reaches for her, calling her beautiful, which is just all kinds of uncomfortable. Then he just collapses onto the floor, officially ending his tenure as head of the My Monster is the Best club. Our leader finally steps into the room, coolly observing the mess and commenting on the director's little tantrum. But Tender Lips immediately turns on him, lunging forward for an attack. So much for a thank you. His teammates scream a warning, scrambling to help as she closes in for the kill. And of course, the blonde kid immediately trips over his own feet in a moment of pure athletic grace. This leader, however, effortlessly catches her hand, stopping the attack and calling her by a different name, Lu Yao. Her eyes widen in recognition, and she is completely overwhelmed that he actually came all this way for her. He plays it cool, saying he is just passing through, and she seems to understand the hidden meaning completely. His 2 teammates just watch this soap opera unfold, wondering if they just stumbled upon their new dad's old flame. With an arm around her, he asks if she wants to come with him to have a word with the guy upstairs. She just quietly agrees to go with him, her rage completely gone now that he is here. Our boy flashes a wicked grin, announcing it is finally time to meet the real boss, a Dr. Mimir.